with 15 coming into this weekend. Gavin Brindley's been an elite goal scorer for the Wolverines here as we look to drop the puck. Frank Nazar, Garrett Shifsky, Rucker McGroarty alongside Seamus Casey and Tyler Duke will open the face-off as it's a win for the Wolverines. Dumped into the offensive zone. Now a tip pass in front, save, shot, a rebound. That was Garrett Shifsky trying to bury one home after a quick offensive succession. And now the puck will be tipped out of bounds in the neutral zone.
Good push by the Wolverines early there. A couple poke checks right in front of the crease, getting a chance early. Nazar coming out, firing into the blue line there.
Eddie, 7 goals for the Wolverines last night. What do they need to do to keep that momentum rolling?
I think you got to fire early at home. Get the crowd into it. Keep the children of Yost happy.
Exactly. Munn Ice Arena silenced last night after a cavalcade of goals came in early. Michigan took a 3-0 lead at the end of the first period as the Spartans will win at center ice. Sent the puck up to O'Connell. He'll take it into the offensive zone, attempts a chip. Retrieved by Red Savage, who sends it down low. Saved by Ethan Edwards, who'll chip it out into the neutral zone. That's off a Wolverines glove in the neutral zone and out of bounds.
Yeah, Wolverines defense hard on the boards there. That's something that they've been coming out with the last couple nights. Like even against the development team, they've been going deep into their own zone and getting those pucks back into neutral ice here.
Michigan winning 5-1 over the USA NTDP on January 6th. That's a winning streak that dates back all the way now to December 2nd before the winter break after a win against Notre Dame. Offensive faceoff won here by the Spartans. A shot goes wide by Basil. Retrieved by Larson and picked up again by Red Savage in the corner. Set back up to Basil. He'll miss a pass out of the blue line. And the Spartans will have to recover. Jacob Truscott behind his own net now. Dumps it back down low for TJ Hughes. Hughes content to take it up now. Sends it up. Back to Jacob Truscott. Jacob Truscott sends one lightly onto net. That's deflected away by a number of Spartans. Retrieved by Seamus Casey at the top. Sends a shot wide. Garrett Shifsky blocks it. Now back behind the net. Shifsky still working to control. Loses the puck. That's picked up. And now a scramble in the offensive zone here for the Wolverines. Finally corralled away by Lister. He'll take a shot off the pad of Barchevsky. Shifsky now up to McGroarty, just off his stick. Would have had a breakaway there. It won't be an icing, but the Wolverines will have to recover it in the offensive zone nonetheless. Caddy corner to the top side, now up to Tyler Duke at the blue line. Duke shot off a couple bodies in front of the net, retrieved by the Spartans. Now the Spartans chipped up and away. That's a check into the boards. Lester was sending it down low. And already we have a little bit of conversation here, Eddie.
Yeah, Stoppa was trying to get out of the bench there and ran into Lester down low and kind of shoved into his own teammate. But Michigan looking a little aggressive in the beginning part. Early penalty, kind of retaliation from last night's fiasco.
That'll be a high sticking on Tyler Duke. You can see the referees are not going to be lenient, we can say, with what's been going on. After, as Eddie mentioned earlier, 168 penalty minutes in one game. That seems like quite a bit if you ask me, if you ask any hockey fan, as the Spartans will take the offensive draw. Carson Dorwart tied up, retrieved now, shot wide. The Spartans will keep it. Mushed in behind again. Ethan Edwards recovers the puck and he'll send it out of the zone.
A good play down low by the Wolverines there.
Marcus Stoppa attempting to recover the puck, falls on the ice. Puck now at center ice. Retrieved by Isaac Howard. He was a star for the United States in their gold medal win in the World Junior Championships in Sweden earlier last month. Now sends a shot wide. Josh Ernest will get in on a puck there and send it out of the zone, ready for a change.
Yeah, the Wolverines, you can really feel that presence of Ethan Edwards being back on that defensive line for them. He's controlling this offensive and defensive zone so far in this game.
Exactly right. The Spartans will look to break out now out of their own end. That's Artem Levshinov, projected top draft pick for the Spartans out of Russia, picked up earlier this year, coming into East Lansing his first year of college hockey. Now that's Larson in the offensive zone for the Spartans, corralled here by Levshinov. He'll send it over to the top end of the ice. A chipped puck up and out of the way, and that'll be onto the stick of Dylan Duke. Duke content to take a shot wide, just try and burn some more that time. That's a penalty for high sticking again on Tyler Duke, as the puck will roll into the Wolverines' end and corralled by Jacob Truscott. 35 seconds left to go on this penalty kill here for the Wolverines. It's still in the offensive zone for the Spartans, though. Jacob Truscott will send one up and out of the way. And the Spartans, who have yet to really establish an offensive presence here thus far, will have to try it again, Eddie.
Yeah, Captain Truscott there playing low and getting the puck out of the zone 3 times back-to-back. Great job there.
Puck picked up and chipped away. That was Dorwart attempting to bring it in for the Spartans. The Wolverines have been locked down thus far on their defensive end. Now that's a tipped pass again by Nazar. He's been all over the ice right now. It's center ice for the Wolverines. Recovery after a turnover. That's Seamus Casey trying to bring it in, start something 1-on-3. Nothing going though. Maxim Stravik with a turnover. Now a shot wide by TJ Hughes. Rucker McGroarty battling for it down low. McGroarty recovers, has 2 Spartans on him. Now that one's saved by Stravik again, and they'll pass it out. The Wolverines will recover it in the neutral zone. That's Marshall Warren up to TJ Hughes. TJ Hughes drops one off for Seamus Casey. Seamus Casey looking, passing, shooting, saved by Trey Augustine. There's a scramble in front of the net. An excellent pass and hold by Seamus Casey. He was looking for a tap in off the pass. It would not go.
Yeah, big time play there by Augustine. That's an NHL save right there, and that's why he's a future prospect for the Red Wings. But I haven't seen a goaltender move like that in Yost in a while, and he got across that crease and definitely took one away from the Wolverines there.
It was Rucker McGroarty trying to poke that pass in. Eddie, what did you see last night from Trey Augustine that was maybe a little uncharacteristic?
He just seemed off the entire time. He was shaking his head, looking around, kind of dazed and not on his game. Hopefully he can bring it back here tonight.
Face-off lost by Keenan Draper, recovered by the Spartans. Now up and out of the zone, but Michigan will recover in its own neutral zone. Tyler Duke dumping it in. Trey Augustine will play it behind his own net. Augustine flips it up and onto the stick of Manisto, but taken away by Stephen Holtz. Stephen Holtz now over to Keenan Draper. He'll fan on a shot. Chipped again by Stephen Holtz, now back up to the blue line, where Tanner Rowe will be unable to recover it, but the puck will stay with Michigan. Michigan looking for a breakout opportunity here. Tipped up by Chase Pletsky, so no icing, but the Spartans will have the puck in behind their own net on an open breakout opportunity. An errant pass is recovered by Joshua Ernest. He'll bring it into the offensive zone for the Wolverines. Well, there'll be a scramble behind the net for possession. Now Estapa will come to try and cover up the puck, but not before a Spartan can send it up and onto the stick of Jacob Truscott. A little bit of hot potato here with the puck to start the first period. Neither team able to secure an entirely long amount of offensive zone presence. Now onto the stick of Webster. He'll tip it into the front for an offensive try for the Spartans. Now up to Moldenauer. He'll try to deke around Levshunov unsuccessfully. Seamus Casey trying to recover on his own defensive blue line. He'll send it back over onto the stick of Artem Levshunov. Levshunov up to Mueller, who can't corral it. It'll be Edwards recovering behind his own defensive net. Edwards up to Hughes. Cross ice pass. It'll scramble off his skates, and now it's back to Gicardi for the Spartans. Gicardi to Mueller. Mueller now back to number 7, Gicardi again. And it'll be tipped up and into the offensive zone for the Spartans as they try to establish an offensive presence here. That's O'Connell. He won't be able to connect on a pass. It'll go onto the stick of Moldenauer. Now back to Nazar. Nazar as the Wolverines try to get something going here in the offensive zone. McGroarty takes it in. Sends it in down low, but no Wolverines to recover. And now it'll be back onto the stick of Levshunov. He's been all over the ice for the Spartans early tonight. He'll send a pass up high to O'Connell, who can recover it. Will take it across, but unable to succeed. And now after a little bit of a bouncing puck scenario, it'll be a 2-on-2 situation for the Wolverines. That's Garrett Shifsky, who attempts to chip one up to Frank Nazar, but a penalty will ensue after Nazar gets entangled with some Spartans.
Yeah, good call there. Definitely held him up, trying to get that 2-on-2 breakaway there. See what the call is. Interference.
Interference indeed on Nash Niehaus of the Spartans. First power play offensively for the Wolverines tonight. Eddie, what do Michigan need to do?
I mean, we're one of the most dangerous teams in the nation, so we got to definitely get a score here and build a little momentum and stop playing hot potato with the puck here.
Face-off won by the Wolverines. Seamus Casey sends a pass over to Rucker McGroarty, who will take a shot right into the chest of Trey Augustine for a save. And with 1:56 to go, we'll have another face-off.
Yeah, Wolverines fire early away and especially get deep in that zone where they're comfortable.
TJ Hughes battling for a face-off win. It'll be back up onto the stick and over for Seamus Casey. The Wolverines will not field it cleanly, and they'll have to start a new offensive opportunity. Seamus Casey taking it in himself. Puck rolls onto the stick of TJ Hughes. TJ Hughes looking, holding on the left circle. Now up to the point for Seamus Casey. Sends one over to Rucker McGroarty. He'll do a little half spin, try to buy some space into a shot. Fanned wide for TJ Hughes. That was an attempted shot that would not go. Now TJ Hughes back with the puck on his stick. Sends one over to McGroarty. McGroarty now down to Seamus Casey. Seamus Casey over to Shifsky. A shot saved again by Trey Augustine, and McGroarty can't keep it in. Great start today for Trey Augustine. He's been on his A game after a less than stellar night in East Lansing just 24 hours ago. Puck back at center ice now. Rucker McGroarty will send it to Phil Lapointe. Phil Lapointe will back skate and leave the puck behind the net for Ethan Edwards. Edwards now, he's so dangerous on that offensive side of the puck. He'll send one over to Nazar. Now Nazar to Moldenauer and back again. Nazar holding, sends one over to Phil Lapointe into the offensive zone right of the right circle. Edwards now will pass over to the left circle. That's Nazar. Nazar holding, looking, elects to pass again to Lapointe. Lapointe back to Edwards. Edwards to Moldenauer on the right. Down low, tip, and a shot saved again by Trey Augustine. That was a shot by Phil Lapointe. As the Wolverines have looked ever dangerous today, Eddie, what do you say? Just not able to capitalize.
Yeah, they're getting that low play like they want. They're just missing the net by a couple feet here.
Another shot was saved away by Frank Nazar. A Spartan attempted to clear it and inadvertently sent it into his own bench. So we'll have an offensive zone faceoff again here for the Wolverines. 9 seconds left on the power play.
I do like the patience by the Wolverines here. They're setting up their play, getting the shots that they want, not trying to force an early goal or an early mistake here.
Patience is going to be key in a rivalry battle like this as the Wolverines' Keenan Draper looks to take the faceoff. He'll succeed. Tanner Rowe shoots it wide, recovered by Marshall Warren. Warren will hold, bring it around the Spartans' offensive net. Now a shot saved again by Trey Augustine. That was Warren coming around side. Short side shot saved. Puck scrambled on the boards now. Now back and recovered by the Spartans behind their own net. Sent up and onto the stick of Warren into the neutral zone. Once again, some unsuccessful passing plays in the neutral zone by the Wolverines and Spartans as Tanner Rowe dumps it right off onto the stick of number 7 in green. But Marshall Warren will recover once more as Seamus Casey looks to get something started. Casey will take a leveling hit at center ice, but not before TJ Hughes can corral the puck. Take a shot, saved again, swatted away by Trey Augustine. He's been on his game. Have we said it enough yet? Now a pass by McGroarty. McGroarty over to TJ Hughes. TJ Hughes shot and a score! Take a hit to make a play. Seamus Casey dumping it in. The recovery by TJ Hughes, and he'll get the pay dirt. 1-0 Wolverines.
Yeah, absolute grit there by Seamus Casey. Put his body on the line at center ice, dump it into the offensive zone for the Wolverines, and Hughes takes care of the rest there with a nice little poke in the right in front of the goaltender. And Augustine, hopefully it's not a repeat of yesterday, but it's starting out the same way with a little chip shot right in his face that goes in.
And that looks like it may have banged off a body, but it's TJ Hughes' goal all the same. Eddie, we were talking about capitalizing on chances. What did Michigan do there, do you think, that made it so worthwhile?
I mean, we talked about it. It's all patience. They found their shot. They made that 2 key passes deep in the zone like we had talked about early on.
Face-off won by the Spartans. They'll send it into the Michigan defensive zone. Now a scramble in front of the net here, picked up by a Spartan. Shot sent wide by Larson, number 18 in green. Jacob Truscott will send one back right over to Larson for a one-time pass, but with 2-time teams. As the Spartans now have a little bit of offensive life in them. Not before Jacob Truscott can recover and send one pass up to TJ Hughes. TJ Hughes, a bit of a one-on-one here, splits the defense, but can't make anything happen. TJ Hughes will keep the puck, tries to send one over to Moldenauer in front of the net. It's a no-go. The Wolverines maintain possession. A pass dangerously sent by Marshall Warren, a little tip by TJ Hughes, but it won't go. Eddie, let's talk about Seamus Casey's play really quickly. He takes that hit. We talk about the patience. What has he done that's impressed you thus far?
Yeah, it's just pure activity in the neutral zone. He is moving around, skating line to line like it's their defensive zone, and he's on a shorthanded, breakaway attempt. But ever since that Notre Dame series early in December, he's been a key part of this team, and even beforehand in some of the big losses and overtime losses, he takes full responsibility for it, and he's shaping up to be one of these Wolverine leaders on this team.
And out of the defensive position, Eddie, he's so excellent offensively. What can you credit his ability to have that two-way game?
I think it's all the mental side of it. He's really focused on making those passes. He's a very educated player. Offensively, he's deadly with that snapshot. I mean, you can see just based off the numbers, he's been extraordinary on that side of the ball. So he's definitely a key part for this team, but he has a great line to work with him, and Nazar and him together, when they're on a line, it's lights out for whatever the opponent is.
Exactly. Again, the lines tonight, Rucker McGroarty, Frank Nazar, and Garrett Shifsky on that first line. Shifsky slotting in for the injured Gavin Brindley. He took a little bit of a wonky hit, you can say, last night as the game was concluding. It became apparent Gavin Brindley wouldn't come back. Comparatively, that's Seamus Casey and Tyler Duke played together on the NTDP, now reunited on the same line here for the Wolverines after Duke played at Ohio State University last year. Both the Duke brothers from Strongsville, Ohio, reunited in Ann Arbor. How often can you say that? That's a defensive zone faceoff won by Michigan State. They'll send it down low, now recovered by the Wolverines in their own defensive end. Now back onto the stick of Niehaus, but he'll send one up into a turnover that's recovered by Michigan. That's Frank Nazar sending it back to Tyler Duke. Now Nazar to McGroarty. McGroarty will dump it down, and we'll get a quick line change as Garrett Shifsky stays on for the forecheck. Marcus Stappa looking to pressure a Spartan breakout here, and he'll do just that. Marcus Stappa and Phil LaPointe cause the Spartans to go back into their own defensive end as an icing from a mistimed pass will just miss Isaac Howard, and the Wolverines will get another offensive zone faceoff.
John, big difference from last night is this neutral ice right now. A lot of sloppy play last night that turned into penalties. Right now it's just missed passes, so Michigan looks to be cleaning it up a little bit and kind of owe it to them for their early lead, but if they can get one more here and kind of hold the Spartans to 0 in this first period, it'd be a win for them.
Definitely a win. The shots right now read 13 to blue to 4 in green. Again, a little bit of a lopsided effort here as Ethan Edwards wins the offensive zone faceoff, but will fan on a shot. Now back up at the point, a shot tipped off in front of a body. Now sent forward again by Moldenauer and recovered by Truscott at the point. Truscott worving his way in, shoots, and a glove save. Tricky shot there by Truscott, who elected to not pass. Saved by Trey Augustine nonetheless. Eddie, it's a one-goal game, but Trey Augustine has still been excellent. Has faced now 15 shots thus far, 10 minutes into the first period.
Yeah, John, whatever ran over him yesterday, he's definitely gotten over that, and he seems to be more focused in the game. He's leading that defensive side and definitely controlling the puck a lot better than last night.
Certainly the Wolverines will take a left circle offensive zone faceoff here. That's Marcus Stappa, and he'll win one back, but not before the puck can skitter out of the offensive zone, recovered by Marshall Warren. He'll send one over the Phil LaPointe, now up to Stephen Holtz. Stephen Holtz met by a cavalcade of Spartans, and now it'll be Spartans offensive zone possession. Puck sent down low. Recovered by Jerson. Now sent back up to Geary. Geary will take one, dump it down low, and that'll be onto the stick of 13 in green. Now recovered by Phil LaPointe for the Wolverines. He'll chip one up and out of the zone, but not before Joshua Ernest. He can go and chase it down, no icing. Coach Brandon Naranjo called Ernest a linebacker on skates earlier this season as the children of Yost will want a penalty after a potential holding by Patrick Geary on Ernest, but it won't be. Now Davidson will wicket a shot just wide for Michigan State. But it won't go, and the puck will trickle back out to neutral ice for Michigan State. Again, a back and forth here. We haven't seen excellent neutral zone puck possession by either team. Always a difficult facet of the game to really maintain, but Seamus Casey will intercept a pass, go for a deke, turn himself around, and still maintain a pass over to Chase Pletzky, who will send it back down low. Seamus Casey again corralling the puck at center ice. Neither team able to really establish something here, although the Wolverines lead 1-0 with 7 minutes to go. Tyler Duke will send a dump down to Frank Nazar in the offensive zone. A battle for it in the corner here. A Nazar pass will go to Pletzky. Pletzky not much room, onto the stick of Tanner Rowe and recovered by Truscott at the point. Pletzky to Edwards at the right point. A shot just wide by Ethan Edwards. It'll roll onto center ice as Jacob Truscott cannot recover it. Garrett Shifsky will send one forward into a chip by Rutger McGroarty. And that chip will go right into the hands of Trey Augustine for an offensive zone faceoff for the Wolverines.
Spartans' pressure tonight has been way different than what we've seen in their past couple games, and especially last evening. They're forechecking, they're putting on a cross-check and deep into the corner, so definitely a positive for them this evening so far.
Certainly a faceoff won by Frank Nazar and recovered by Rutger McGroarty. Onto the stick of Garrett Shifsky. He'll be battling. Now sends a one-timer over to Jacob Truscott. That'll be deflected away before it can reach the net. And now Rutger McGroarty will fight for it behind the net. Artem Levshinov will try for a breakout pass. Just a little too much sauce, and the Wolverines will keep it in their neutral zone. Rutger McGroarty and Garrett Shifsky battling in the corner for the puck. McGroarty tips one down to Garrett Shifsky, who can't make it happen. Now that'll be Nash Ninehouse, who will break it out for the Spartans. No hand pass. Red Savage catches one in midair at center ice and a little bit dumps it over to himself, but nothing will happen. The Wolverines attempt to clear. Nick Moldenauer goes for a little bit of a race, but not before an icing and a groan by the children of Yost.
Yeah, children of Yost weren't too happy. He almost had him a couple more seconds, but Wolverines putting on that pressure very early on. If they could just get a couple more clean passes out of their defensive zone to get some of those breakaways, and Rutger would have maybe 2 more goals on the night already.
Exactly. Defensive zone faceoff won by the Wolverines. Jacob Barchevsky has a little bit of trouble fielding the puck in front of his own net, and he'll have to ice it again.
Caught up in the skate laces there, Barchevsky, but holds on to it underneath the pad. He's been exceptional ever since mid-November of this entire season. He really has found a place here as a transfer and kind of turned into one of the veterans on this team thus far.
Certainly Jacob Barchevsky, transfer out of Canisius, has 1 year of eligibility left, elects to use it with the Wolverines as Michigan State will win the offensive zone faceoff. A shot by Geary will come through. Isaac Howard overplays the puck, can't grab what was a dangerous rebound. Now a pass up to Nick Moldenauer. Nick Moldenauer in alone, shot roofs it just too high. Moldenauer recover his own puck though. What a golden opportunity by Nick Moldenauer that he could not convert on. Now a battle for the puck behind the net. That's Dylan Duke, who will send it over to Seamus Casey. Now Casey content to collect it. He'll send a waffling pass up and down into the left corner as Ernest will send a pass over to Moldenauer. Moldenauer back to Hughes. TJ Hughes, that is. No more Luke for the Wolverines. Hughes over to Dylan Duke. Had an open shot, couldn't corral it. Now the puck sent down low by Tyler Duke. TJ Hughes loses the puck in the far right corner. Now Seamus Casey and the Wolverines back on defense. Another mistimed pass. Isaac Howard not able to connect. And the Wolverines, Nick Moldenauer will dump it in down low. That was an electric opportunity for Nick Moldenauer, Eddie.
It was. He was down low in the right position. Just a little too much heat on the pass there.
Now again, Yecki's shot will be saved by Barchevsky. And we'll have a little bit of action again as the net comes unloose and the referees will have to step in.
Yeah. Just a little late push there on the back of Barchevsky trying to make that save after he made it about 3 seconds earlier, but good way to step up by the Wolverines, create a little bit of pressure here on them, even though they're in their own zone, but a little fire underneath it, and always stepping up for your goaltender helps this team a lot.
Josh Ernest is more than content to give an earful to one of the linesmen, maybe believing there was a little bit too much extracurricular activity after the whistle there. Saved by Jacob Barchevsky. And it'll be an offensive zone faceoff for the Spartans. One and onto the stick of Jacardi, excuse me. His shot will go just wide, and the Wolverines will dump it back out for what will be another icing.
Wolverines have struggled with that all year. Icing has been one of our downfalls. I feel like we take a lot of defensive zone face-offs more than some other teams, but with a strong defensive line like we've had, especially in the past, we seem to make it work somehow, but would love to see a lot more offensive time zone here than giving them free face-offs in the zone.
Certainly, Michigan struggled early in the season with blown leads. If you'll recall the Providence game, the University of Massachusetts game. Recently, though, in the past 2 months, the Wolverines have tightened up the defensive strings and have found themselves all the more successful for it. Riding 2 straight Big Ten wins, 4 straight wins generally. And that'll be a trip by the Wolverines. It'll look to be Stephen Holtz. If the Wolverines can corral it, and they will, that'll be Phil LaPointe taking up the puck.
Unfortunate there by Holtz. Kind of just got caught going around the neck and stuck the stick too far in between the skates there.
We'll listen for the official call here. It will be Stephen Holtz in the box. That'll be a cross check. All the same, putting your stick where it shouldn't be, Eddie.
Yeah, interesting call there. Didn't see too much of a cross check, but falling and maybe a little bit of embellishment there either way. But Wolverines got to kill this off and try to tack another one on before the end of the period.
4 minutes and 18 seconds to go here. The Maize and Blue lead 1-0 over the Spartans, as Red Savage and Keenan Draper will get tied up for an offensive zone faceoff for the Spartans, collected here by Larson, number 18 in green. He'll send it up to Levshinov at the point. Levshinov will take it through the middle, send it back to Larson, He'll fire a shot wide. Now back up to Levshinov. Levshinov holding, looking, sends a tip, and that'll be in. 1-1 Artem Levshinov. He'll get the congratulations. It may have tipped off a stick or a skate, but it'll be Artem Levshinov skating to the bench first for Michigan State.
Got to give credit where credit is due. They set up that pass. He saw the opening and a stick right up front. Not much Barczewski could do going 5-hole there, but Wolverines got to see how they bounce back from this. Spartans got one on the board a little earlier than they did yesterday in their match against the Wolverines, so we'll see how a little different setting here, see how they respond.
Stephen Holtz will come out of the box as the Wolverines will regain even strength, albeit not the way they wanted. 4 minutes to go in this first period. It'll be a 1-1 game, Michigan State. Artem Levshinov was not pressured. It was Keenan Draper who was tasked with guarding him in that high defensive zone. An ever dangerous offensive player. Didn't want to get pressured. All the same, it'll be a goal for Michigan State. Now it's Red Savage bringing the puck up. 21 in green. He'll attempt a little half spin move. It won't do what he intends, and the puck will fall onto the stick of Marshall Warren. Now he'll send it up to Rucker McGroarty. Rucker McGroarty holds. Rucker McGroarty, a shot, or a waffling pass, I should say, to Frank Nazar, but it just goes left of the net and not able to set up an offensive attack. Stephen Holtz will recover the puck in his own defensive end. Marshall Warren will send it up to Nick Moldenauer. Nick Moldenauer back to Marshall Warren. Warren over to the Holtz. Stephen Holtz pinching. Defensive puck recovery by the Michigan State Spartans. And Seamus Casey will once again recover it in his own defensive end, but not before a little bit of pressure, courtesy of Isaac Howard. Casey and Howard very familiar with each other as TJ Hughes will take the puck up into the offensive zone. He'll make a move. It won't amount to enough, though, as the puck will rattle on to Seamus Casey at the point. Casey with a shot, tipped and in! A little bit of tip magic, right back Dylan Duke. Who else? 2-1 Michigan.
A little all Big Ten action there, but Dylan Duke, fantastic tip, hand-eye coordination right in the middle of the zone. Way to keep it in from the Wolverines. Waved off here.
Waved off indeed, Eddie. A little too much baseball for the Wolverines' liking. That tipped puck, we'll have to take a look here. Definitely was a bit of a higher tip than you would expect. And that actually might be overturned, Eddie. A little too high. The top curve of that stick, top half, reaching over the post.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Wolverines here, but can't put the stick up past your own head and expect it to count as a good goal.
So with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left here, the only goal that'll stand will be Michigan State's in the last minute. It's still 1-1, a tie game. As Michigan State, maybe a little bit of new life here after catching a break, although it was a correct call by the referees all the same. Now pass up to Tyler Duke. He'll fire one in. A little bit of dump and change here as Joshua Ernest will come on for Nick Moldenauer. A battle behind the net. Recovered by number 8 in green. That's Maxim Sturbach. But a mistimed pass once again. How many times have we said it tonight, folks? Onto the stick of Seamus Casey. He seems to be in the right place at the right time all the time. Now TJ Hughes will send a puck high and deep as the Wolverines attempt to chase. And it'll be a call offsides.
One of the things I've noticed tonight is it seems the Wolverines are a little fatigued late into this period. It's been a problem with, a bunch of injuries the past couple of series. Wolverines are really showing it here, and Spartans with that new life from the waved off goal and their own scored goal, really pushing it into the offensive zone of their side a lot more.
Certainly, the Wolverines at times have been a little more unsuccessful on second nights. We can recall maybe the Ohio State bout earlier this year. They won 7-1 again, then fell 3-2, I believe, to the Buckeyes on the second night. They have struggled at times with being able to put together full weekend performances. As we wait for this this offsides puck drop, there was a little bit of commotion, a bit too much conversation for the referee's liking, as the Spartans will collect it in their own offensive zone. That's Lebster Forchek. He'll pressure the puck, but it'll fall onto the stick of Jacob Truscott. He'll waffle it over to Marcus Stappa. Marcus Stappa will send one down low, but behind the midline, and it'll be an icing.
Goal here for the Wolverines is don't repeat mistakes that we've been repeating in the past couple series. Let's keep this in either a close game or a blowout. We can't let them go up by 1 or 2 goals, especially with this pressure from the Spartans as of recently.
Certainly Michigan State opening up here, answering goal after Michigan opened up the contest with a goal of their own. Still 1-1 with 1:30 to go. An offensive zone faceoff. Marcus Stoppel put Red Savage onto his behind as the Wolverines collect the puck. Philip Point looks for a long pass, cross-ice pass in the offensive zone to Josh Ernest. Those are always difficult to complete, and it won't fall onto the stick like he wanted to. Artem Levshinov will send a pass up. It'll be waved off for icing. And Seamus Casey will collect the puck now up onto the stick of Tyler Duke. He'll keep his head on a swivel. Finds Rucker McGroarty with 1 minute to go here in this first period as Garrett Shifsky will collect it in the right corner down low. Now Frank Nazar attempts to send a pass up. He'll miss. It'll go onto the stick of Spartans O'Connell. O'Connell now will recollect the puck. Seamus Casey, though, after a little bit of a dribble, will send it up to Garrett Shifsky. Garrett Shifsky over to Rucker McGroarty. He'll use a big body shot, and it'll be saved by Trey Augustine, but not before, once again, a little bit of extracurricular activity. Eddie, I think we've been seeing this heat up as the period has gone on. What do you think?
Yeah, and the score tonight makes this a lot better than last night. A lot more of a reason to be a little pushy and shovey down low, especially after a shot on net. Not really necessary there. Rucker had the right of way, but I'd like to see it out of the Wolverines and the Spartans. A little fight to the game really sums up the whole rivalry weekend.
Yes, indeed, as a face-off, offensive zone face-off, won by the Wolverines, caddy quarter down low with 30 seconds to go. The Wolverines will have to make something happen fast. TJ Hughes will dump it back in down low again from the point. Dylan Duke will attempt to corral it behind his own net. He'll send it over to TJ Hughes, who can't keep it. And it'll be a neutral zone try here for the Spartans. That's Isaac Howard. He'll collect the puck onto his stick. He'll hold, attempt to send a pass, but it'll bounce off the skate of TJ Hughes. And he'll clear the puck in with 5 seconds to go. That should be all she wrote for the first period here. Your shots are 19, Michigan 7, Michigan State, and a 1-1 tie.
Keys to the next period, I think, for both sides. For the Spartans, they got to keep building on this momentum that they have, pushing into the offensive zone here. And Wolverines, I think we got to put our heads back on our shoulders a little bit, regain some of that confidence, push it deep into the zone. Played a lot of defensive ball there in the second half of the period. So both sides will have something to talk about going into the locker rooms for this first intermission.
Certainly, Eddie, already Michigan with a little bit to talk about. Brandon Naranjo is giving the referees an earful as he walks off the ice here, clearly not content with what has happened. All the same, though, the Wolverines will look to regroup as we head into this second period.
Yeah, and coaching staff from Michigan should be happy there. Killed off a couple penalties. Spartans, same. Killed off a couple penalties there. Got a couple lucky breaks down deep in the corner, but should be interesting to see how these teams draw up the new game plan and come out firing for this second period.
Certainly, and for those of you listening on WCBN Sports, Eddie will stay on and Connor Earegood will come on for color commentary as Eddie switches to play-by-play. Thank you for listening. We hope you stay with us here in 12 minutes.
Welcome back to Yost Arena in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm here with myself, Eddie, Olejniczak, and Connor Earegood. Can't be more thrilled to bring you the second period action here in Yost against Michigan State Spartans and the Michigan Wolverines. Tied 1-1, 19 shots for the Wolverines, 7 shots for the Spartans. Connor, anything you'd like to see out of either team here in this second period?
Well, I think on the Michigan side of things, I don't think they need to deviate from their plan. I know the score is tied, obviously, and they're playing a really good Michigan State team, but when you're out shooting a team 19-7, I don't think you need to really change that much, and I know Michigan State's goals in the power play. Maybe there's some penalty kill changes you want to make, maybe some spacing and whatnot if you're Michigan, but I think just staying with the process and sticking to what they prepared to do. It worked yesterday. It was working for the first part of the first period. I think as long as they stick to what they're doing, they'll be fine. As for Michigan State, I think they need to be a little more aggressive, try to get more shots on goal instead of passing it around. I noticed there was some trouble with them getting into the zone, but when they did have some time and some sustained pressure, they really generated some nice chances. So I think for State, just getting a little more aggressive and really trying to force the play is gonna help them out a lot.
Couldn't have said it better myself here, and luck is always one of those things in hockey where the luck just hasn't been on Michigan's side in that first period, and a couple missed chances and the called back goal, but ready to take start here for the Wolverines against the Spartans. Start of the second period here from Ann Arbor. Nazar takes the circle, wins the face-off, shoots it back into the defensive zone of the Spartans. Chipped into the Michigan defensive zone. Casey in the corner down low. Nazar brings it back out. Rucker at the blue line, tries to keep it out of the zone. Shot back in by number 5 of the Spartans. Tipped out of play down low in the Michigan zone. Face up upcoming. Good start for the Wolverines there. A little hectic to begin with, but neutral zone ice, like we talked about. I know John and I mentioned it earlier. It's been Wolverines' strong suit for most of the season, and it's also been their downfalls at many times. So good to see them pushing early in this second period.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Michigan wins the face-off in their own zone. Tips it out across the blue line. Dylan Duke tries to bring it up, gets hit into the boards. TJ Hughes chases to Augustine. Augustine covers with a little splash from Hughes that gives a little shove back.
Man, both of these periods so far at the start really feels like a boxing match. Both teams trying to feel each other out. No one wants to make a mistake out there, and in such an intense rivalry matchup, a lot of frozen pucks so far.
It is, yeah. And last night at Munn, I don't think either team really expected that. State coming in at the 7th seed, no one expected them to get blown out 7-1 by the Wolverines at home. Moldenhauer throws it low, misses Edwards by a little bit. Hughes chases the puck into the corner in a scrum with the Spartans. Hughes throws it back out and across the blue line back into the Michigan defensive zone. Truscott, the captain, chases it down low and controls the puck. Throws it back across for Edwards. Edwards throws it up to Hughes, back into the end behind Barczewski. Michigan retains it, throws it, chips it across the blue line back into neutral ice. Pass across to Edwards, little move and a half. Fire up the children of Yost down low in front of them. Truscott brings it back up the middle of the ice. Hughes breaks a stick but gets it into the Spartans' offensive zone. Hughes goes off with a full line change. LaPointe pushing the puck at middle ice. Dumped into Michigan zone. Barczewski out behind the net to play, gets hit back. Warren fighting for it behind the net. Howard's in that scrum for the Spartans against Warren. A little pushing and shoving, finally gets it back out to the blue line. Sturback throws it across. Reeled in by a stopper of the Wolverines. Brings it up the ice by himself. It's a one-man show against 3. Gets a little Cronwall hip check there into the boards. Draper knows 1 or 2 things about that. He's seen it in his dad's highlights. Earnesty chases down low. Sturback throws it around. Davison throws it back in the middle ice where Warren retains it for the Wolverines. Tanner Rowe throws it back into the Michigan side for Max Warren, who gets shoved into the Spartans bench and ices the puck.
Michigan State, not to say they've been super aggressive, but I like that they're keeping the puck in the zone as much as they can. Michigan's having a little bit of trouble getting it out cleanly. Granted, with the unit they had with the stoppers line out there, not exactly the line that's going to be controlling play as much as maybe a line with like McGordy and Shifsky and all of them, but we'll see what they can do here. It looks like they've got Draper and is that Tanner Rowe and Chase Pletzky out there?
Yeah, a little different line with Brindley missing today. Big loss for the Wolverines. Halem also did not dress due to injury from last night and a little misconduct penalty at the end of the game. But number 4, Nienhaus for the Spartans throws it on net down low, and there's going to be a face-off off to the right-hand side.
Yeah, with Halem, it was tough to see earlier in the season with his knee injury. Ended up having surgery over the break. Really good, speedy player for them this season. We'll see what he can do next season when he comes back, but big loss for depth in this lineup, especially just with the speed I mentioned. I mean, if he's anywhere able to use those jets and you get the puck to him, it's good night for the other team.
Yeah, Wolverines definitely feeling the loss here as the Spartans win the face-off in the defensive or in the offensive zone, keeps it down low. Casey chases it down the boards down low, tips it off behind the net to Barczewski. Spartans controlled at the blue line, throw it back down low ice. Quick shot that was blocked up front. Good defensive play by the Wolverines. Stick goes flying out in the corner, picks it back up for the Spartans, and the Wolverines control it deep down low. Nazar tries to bring it up, tosses it straight into a Spartan player's stick in the neutral zone. Casey chases behind Barczewski. Barczewski controls it for him. Throws it up to McGrody. No icing there right across the red line when he touched that. Shifsky chased into the offensive zone. Nazar now up front. Russell can't control for the Spartans, but they get it back with Howard, number 22. Keeps in the offensive zone for number 28. Throws it right back to the Wolverines. Moldenhauer 2-on-1 here. TJ Hughes. Goal, Wolverines! Beautiful 2-on-1 breakaway there from a turnover at neutral ice.
What an unselfish play by Nick Moldenhauer there to share the puck. TJ Hughes, obviously the first goal scorer for the Wolverines. Dylan Duke had the one that was turned back, but Nick Moldenhauer easily could have shot that. Had a great angle on Trey Augustine. Instead, he shares it with his line mate. Easy goal. Michigan's up 2-1.
Yeah, great play there. It's that sloppy play we talked about over at neutral ice where it's going to hurt both sides, and there the Spartans were at fault, but not really Augustine's fault. Not much he can do there. The Wolverines take full advantage of it.
Got a little bit of physicality here at the face-off with Joey Larson and Philip Lapointe.
Yeah,
the ref's going to talk to him.
Refs are getting tired of seeing this, so it's just one of those things. You can't beat the rivalry. There's going to be some pushing and fighting.
It's all good fun.
Yep. Michigan wins the face-off. Edwards controls it in defensive zone. Ernestine brings it up neutral ice, chips it forward just in front of Estapa. Savage brings it in through the neutral ice, but chipped it into his own bench, and we have a stoppage of play. Yeah, that took a little bit out of the Spartans there. You can kind of see some heads down on the bench saying we gotta get one back here, but definitely a emotional changer there for the Wolverines, and this place is pretty fired up to see a 2-1 lead here.
Yeah, and it was certainly earned the way they've been playing this whole time. Like I was saying in the intermission, just stick to what you're doing if you're Michigan. You're doing just fine. A lot of the times it's just that patience.
Yeah. Spartans won the face-off. Sturback threw it in the zone. Michigan got it back for a brief moment before Sturback got it. Keeping it down low is the Spartans. Little scrum in the corner. Ernestine is out there for the Wolverines and tries to get it around. Flips it over. Ernestine with that speed, he's getting in front of the Spartans, brings it into offensive zone. Augustine got the cover by putting his glove on top of Lapointe's stick, and ref very generous with a whistle there for their stake, but he's trying to put his stick away, and Augustine should get a penalty here for pushing away a stick of a Wolverine player.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get it, though. Doesn't look like it.
I think it's just to be expected at this point with these two teams here, but should be a delay game, and a little childish by the Spartans there, but what more can you expect sometimes from that school? Got to give a couple jabs here and there. But
right.
Wolverines taking this in the offensive zone. Nice face-off here. Gets the win, gives it out to Warren, the defenseman for the Wolverines. Fires it on net. Moldenhauser almost had a one-timer from a pass behind the net. Gives a big hit inside. Spartans bring it up. Number 11, Davison, gets it out of the zone. Dylan Duke chips it up to TJ Hughes, just caught by a Spartan. Oldenhauer with that speed got it back, but still back in neutral ice for Holtz. Holtz took the early penalty earlier, so he's trying to stay clean the rest of this game. Dylan Duke chases. Down low, his brother Tyler plays it into the defensive zone. Holtz chases the puck. Spartan slap shot right at the point, goes wide left. Michigan gets it out. Dylan Duke chasing the puck, 2-on-2 for Hughes. Hughes looking, holds, fires just wide right off the pad of Augustine. Spartans retain it but throw it out of the zone off the back ice into the Michigan bench.
Easy to overlook. Dylan Duke on that face-off at the start of that whole sequence was really, really clean. And I know he's often been a left winger for this Michigan squad, but it's good to see a player like him with so much versatility just win a butter smooth face-off. I don't think I've ever seen that from him, and I've covered this team for parts of the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I love what they do with the lines here, putting Dylan and Tyler together. I mean, there's not much better connection there than the brotherly connection. Given Tyler's the transfer from Ohio State, but we've welcomed him with open arms, given our defensive struggles and losses in the past couple of years. Nazar chases it down low as Wolverines retain possession in the offensive zone. Rucker, nice move. Oh, just fired wide off a great move by Scheisky. Nazar retains it. Rucker, goal Wolverines, slid it past Augustine's pads. One of the team's major players and alternates of this squad very often gets another one on the season.
Michigan State not happy at that goal. Wow. Trey Augustine's definitely going to want that one back. Just trickled to the left side. A little bit of force on it. Maybe not a trickle. Maybe I'm being a little too generous to Michigan there, but
completely blind for Augustine there. He couldn't see much. Double screened by his own players, so fight down low got us a goal for the Wolverines here, and now it's a 3-1 game with 14 minutes to go in the second period.
I think what you just said is so critical too. It's that control in front of the net that these teams are going to want. Tight game, very talented players, but if you control that net front, that's the key to victory.
Trussat fires it in from neutral ice. Edwards controls it in the offensive zone, shoots it down to Ernest. Spartans get it back here. A little extracurriculars in front of the bench. No trip is called. Russell throws it forward, but shot out by the Wolverines defense. Back behind Barczewski in the defensive zone for the Wolverines.
Some great defense by Josh Ernest there. Wow.
Very much so. Thrown out a play towards the children of Yost in our defensive zone. Wolverines fired up here. Children of Yost are loving it. They love being back at home and cheering on this team. And the Maze Out's been a success. I don't see too many Spartan fans here that are still on their feet or cheering for much. So if they can retain this lead here, it's going to be great for this. And to take down the number 7 team in the country back-to-back nights is good for our hopes for the regionals and future.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of fans here in the standing room sections too. You love to see it. Yost is one of the most special barns in college hockey. The more folks you can get in here, the better. And a lot of them are going to be bringing out the brooms the way this game's been played so far, unless Michigan State gets its act together.
And Casey fights for it down low, gives it down to another Wolverine in the corner. Duke chips it out to neutral ice. Michigan elects to not get a change off of the fresh change there. State controls it, neutral zone. O'Connell throws it into the zone for the Spartans. Duke gives it a whack, tries to get it out. Levstoff is throwing it back into the zone. Aaron shot off the pad or crossbar of Barczewski, and it is counted as a save. So Wolverines very lucky there. Back out to neutral ice. Spartans a little flame under them right now, 3-1. So they are going full steam, and got to be careful there as the Wolverines, as Holtz almost took another penalty for an errant cross check. But 2-on-2, throws it across the Wolverines, keeps possession. Augustine is struggling down there. He can't see much, but there's a penalty upcoming. We'll see who it is on.
Looks like Nash Nienhaus from Michigan State, the captain, skating to the box.
Not known for his penalties here.
No, not at all, and I believe that's 2. 2 for the night for him.
Yeah, 2 for the night for Dash Niehaus, and he's not known for that. He's the captain for a reason, and he's been the team for this weird season the Spartans have had. No one expected them preseason polling to even be ranked, and now they're sitting top 10 in the country. And he's a main factor for why these guys in the locker room trust this team so much.
Yeah, big transfer class, some key freshmen. Michigan State, really, really talented team. I was projecting them to be, I believe, 4th in the Big Ten was my preseason ranking, but they've really come on strong with the way Augustine has played. And obviously this weekend has had some struggles, but I think it goes to show you just how important he is to their team.
Wolverines bring it into the zone, control it. Casey at the blue line. Out to Rucker at the point. Back to Casey. Trying to find that sweet spot here. Hughes across. Shifsky just missed by a little. Casey at the blue line. Throws it up. Duke tried to get another high stick tip, basically. Casey keeping it here. Brings it a little lower into the zone. Keeping it himself. Tries to get a tip off the skate of Duke by throwing it at his back. And Hughes, good check to keep it in here. Rucker throws it back over to Casey. Casey can't control it as much. Rucker keeps it in the zone off the top of the ice and out of play.
You know, Dylan Duke will never fool you on the ice where he's going to go. He's always about 3 to 4 feet away from the net and giving goalies some trouble down there. Doing the same thing here. Trey Augustine is giving him some love taps on the back of the skates, trying to get him to vacate, but didn't get all he wanted on that redirect. But if Dylan Duke keeps being down there, like I mentioned with the net front, he's going to cause some havoc.
Yeah, and he's not the biggest player by any standards, but he gets into every scrum that the Wolverines seem to have. Edward brings it up the zone, gets held a little bit, no call. Trying to get that hooking call. Nazar controls it down low, throws it back, goes out of the offensive zone for the Wolverines. Edwards back in the defensive zone in front of Barczewski to control it. Throws it out, takes it back, moves up past block M in the middle of ice. Nazar tried to make a move on a defender, couldn't do it, gets it back. Moldenhauser tried to catch that pass across the ice. High cross check there. We got one hand up for official. Penalty upcoming for the Spartans. It's going to be a 5-on-3 scenario.
Nick Moldenhauer's really gotten whacked the past couple of shifts. He got dumped by someone over on the right side circle the last shift before that penalty. Gets whacked again up high, draws the penalty. So at least there's something for his efforts, but you know, maybe his dentist is going to get a call. Who knows the way he's been getting hit.
Well, the beauty is they're still wearing the cages right now, but that was number 19 of the Spartans, the alternate, Mueller. So captain and the alternate both in the box here. The Spartans, not ideal penalty kill here, but only 15 seconds left on the captain, Niehaus, his original penalty. So the Spartans can kind of control this 5-on-3 for 15 more seconds. They have a hope of not having the Wolverines add another one on the board.
Yeah, definitely not the two you'd expect to take those penalties. Mueller, the fifth-year senior, big core leader for this Michigan State team, been around the block a few times, and he just can't do that in a rivalry game.
Rucker with a shot after it went into neutral ice. Duke controls it low in the offensive zone. Casey comes out, sees the captain of the Spartans come back out of the box. One penalty is over, back to 5-on-4 play. Wolverines still on the penalty.
Michigan cycling the puck very well in this 1-3-1.
Very well. They're waiting for their shot, and that's why this team is highly praised, even though their ranking may be a little bit lower than they were expected to be. But their patience is something that other teams look at, especially on these power play opportunities.
The way this weekend's gone, too, that rating will, I would assume, go up quite a bit.
Rucker tried to throw it to Duke in front of the net and get a tip. Throws it in the corner. Gets it back at the point. Makes a move. One guy missed. Goal, Rucker McGordy. Have yourself a night, kid.
What a move to wait it out. Just the patience, the poise, and the shot. Rucker McGordy, Captain America, does it again.
Something special here. If we didn't have Truscott, I've been saying that he should be a captain, and if he sticks around long enough, he definitely will be. He is one of the leaders on this team, and he's making moves I don't even see in the NHL anymore. He's making guys miss. They're basketball moves. He's crossing up guys down low right in the crease, so it's amazing what that man can do with a puck, and the Wolverines sure enjoy it, especially in this 4-1 game with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, you mentioned captaincy. The biggest problem is he's too good. Winnipeg's going to be calling his name.
Yeah, Wolverines win the face-off. throws it back into the offensive zone. Estapa goes flying as well as his stick. Ernesti chases it down. Throws it deep there by himself. Quick shot for Estapa, covered up very quickly by Augustine with a little push there. We'll get a stoppage here for a little clearing of the ice, but Wolverines with a little extra shoving there, but they can't be happier than the position they're in right now. Shots 30-9 in favor of the Wolverines in a 4-1 game. Halfway through the entire game, anything you see here that the Spartans could kind of try to build on and try to get back in this game before it gets way too out of hand?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, as I mentioned with that aggression, they've just got to get more zone time. Obviously, Michigan's been really controlling this game, but Michigan State, when it gets the puck, it has a few fleeting chances at the net, and then Michigan's able to clear it out. And with all the penalties they've taken, they really haven't had a lot of time to set up. So I think if you're Michigan State, your main goal here, you just got to get more time in the attack and really generate some chances. I believe that's part of why the shots are so low, is just they haven't had a whole lot of time. I'd be interested to see what the possession stats are, but I'm sure they favor Michigan by quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been no easy night for Barczewski either. A couple very difficult saves early on in that first period, but want to make sure he doesn't fall asleep back there at this point with this Spartan offense. But both teams, no penalties outside of the Spartans back-to-back there, so a little bit better than last night and all that went around there, but Wolverines are having some trouble with figuring out who's on the right line here, taking a second to get off the bench to this offensive zone face-off.
Looks like they're mixing it up a bit. Frank Nazar with Nick Moldenauer and Keenan Draper. Interesting group.
Yeah, trying to throw one more on there. Draper going to be a lineman on one of these Spartan lines pretty soon when he goes to Detroit with most of their draft picks, especially the goalie Augustine. He should be moving up in a couple of years. Yeah. Wolverines lose control, number 22. Spartans scores. Howard, the Tampa Bay draftee, throws it far down top right corner.
You know, they proved me wrong there. I said they needed some time of possession, and look at that. Couple strides into the zone. Isaac Howard makes Michigan pay.
Quick strike. I was praising Edwards earlier, and he just got straight out beat at the blue line, and Howard was allowed to get around him and just snapped off a quick one, but Spartans needed that. I'm not going to lie, we may be a Wolverine sporting pod here, but Spartans need that, and I love to see a little bit of fight in this game. Wolverines, don't let that attack them too much. Nothing on Barczewski, even though we were talking about him falling asleep down there in that zone. Warren gets it off the face-off for the Wolverines, throws it in the zone. Estapa chases. LaPointe tries to get it back into neutral ice. Kind of kicked across Ernesti's speed. Tried to interfere a little bit, no call on either side. Warren throws it down in the corner. State retains possession in the offensive zone. Takes it up top, thrown wide by number 9 of the Spartans. Holtz has it down low, tries to throw it out. Gets it into neutral ice. Estapa got a 3-on-2, 2-on-2, one takes off, but tries to throw one on net, gets stopped by a couple bodies up front. Chases after in the offensive zone for the Wolverines. LaPointe fighting down there in the scrum as well. Tyler Duke refrains from joining in. Nazar takes a little shoulder to the face, but keeps going through the pressure. Finally back out to neutral ice where the Wolverines retain it. Casey throws it back up from neutral ice. Nazar finds it. Has a couple Spartans on him deep into that corner, throws it down. Shifsky throws it back up. Tyler Duke throws it across. Back to Casey Rucker. Blocked by a body out front. Spartans throw it up the ice, but it would be retained by Duke. He'll take a second in front of the net. Almost lost it. And he does. Ooh. Number 19, Mueller, strikes after his penalty and makes up for his mistakes for the Spartans.
One heck of a way to say sorry.
That's one good way to say sorry. 4-3 here now at Yost Arena. 7:41 left in the second period, and there's been some big changes here, so both sides seem to regroup a little bit after a quick start from the Wolverines this period, and a lot of stoppage minutes here.
a rivalry game is never over. It's never a comfortable win. So obviously this one was going to get back even. It was just a matter of time.
A little different look from yesterday's blowout. This was to be expected. A little fire back, a little revenge tour for the Spartans here. 23 of the Spartan takes it down low. Contains in the corner, back at the blue line. Blocked by the Wolverines. Dylan Duke off the shin. Throws it all the way back down into the Michigan offensive zone.
Good stick by Dylan Duke, too.
Very good. Chasing it across neutral ice. Savage brought it into the zone. Passed it over to Davison. Davison tried to pass it along. Just missed by the Spartans. Tried to throw it high side. Got blocked by an ankle, I believe. Still retained. Edwards gets it back for the Wolverines. Tosses it right back to the Spartans in the corner. Wolverines retain possession right now. Number 29 of the Spartans gets a lucky break. Has it, brings it around the top. Edwards loses his stick. Good block there. Needhouse takes it at the blue line, throws it back down. Spartans trying to set up something that they enjoy. Needhouse back at the blue line.
Great commitment to the net front by Michigan State here. Wow.
Very good stop by Barczewski in front of a diving Edwards. No, you weren't wrong about the possession time in the offensive zone here for the Spartans. They were getting some very good looks, and they're being precise with it. They're taking their time. They took a kind of a play out of the Michigan call book there, and it's been working. I mean, scored 2 in 2.5 minutes. Definitely something that the Spartans could build off of here moving forward.
Absolutely, and if they can get that possession time that they just had on that long shift, it'll bode well for them. Anytime they have the puck is a time Michigan doesn't have it. So
Ernest uses his speed, just chips it into the zone off of a face-off win. Holtz knocks it down at neutral ice after being thrown out of the Spartan zone. Holtz brings it back up, just will dump it into the zone for the Wolverines to chase after. Also gives him a little slash. Geary fighting Ernest down low, throws it back out to Russell. Ernest right in front of the net, tries to get a quick shot. Augustine gets it. Get a little scrum up front from a late hit from Estapa on Augustine's glove. They didn't like that much, some Spartan defensemen, so no penalties handed out off of that play. Estapa trying to get the late poke check to get it through.
Oh, he's just saying hi. That's how Mark Estapa plays. Fun fact, him, Keenan Draper, Michigan State's Tune and Chowdy, and Tanner Kelly all played for Little Caesars way back. I believe won a national championship with that program. Very, very successful program for years.
Some Michigan guys staying around for their home teams. Thrown on net here. Augustine really is trying to defend it.
McGordy nearly had that hat trick there. Looks like he's saying something to some of the Spartans.
Yeah, he's giving a couple chirps back and forth, but Spartans kind of retained possession there, throwing it under the pad of Augustine. Sometimes a risky play in hockey. Hopefully that he doesn't move back and lose sight of the puck, but got the stoppage of play here, and we'll have another face-off in the Michigan offensive zone. Nazar moves in with Mueller. Michigan State wins the face-off.
Looks like the lines are back to normal here with Frank Nazar playing with Rutger McGordy and Garrett Shifsky. Good sign for Michigan.
Very good sign. Lebster threw it into the zone for the Spartans here. Throws it back into the corner from the blue line. Sturback fighting against the boards with Rutger. Right under his skate, and he's not giving them any way to get a stick in between the board and his skate. Blown up at the line was Nazar trying to go for the puck. A little unnecessary contact there, but Spartans bring it back into their offensive zone. Seamus Casey is there to meet him, retains possession. Gordy gets the puck on the side, tries to get back into neutral ice. Nazar throws it back over to Seamus Casey. Shifsky was there for a little bit, moves back out. Rucker takes a back seat. Spartans are pushing. Good stop by Barczewski on that 1-on-2 offensive by the Spartans.
Fantastic defense from Seamus Casey there. Obviously, you don't want to see a turnover go the other way, but the way he controls the inside forces Michigan State to shoot from the outside, and Jake Barczewski has a very easy save to make right there. Seamus Casey obviously highly touted for his scoring and his offensive production, but really, really good positioning there.
Yeah, one of the strong suits of Michigan here is it's been our defense for the last 5 years, and we keep finding the recruits that are keen to keep that up. And as I speak of that, the Spartans are taking control in their offensive zone and keeping it at the blue line. Neathouse keeps it at the blue line, dumps it off, thrown on net, and a goal. The Spartans, O'Connell got a lucky tip off the right pad of Barczewski, and you have a tied ball game all of a sudden.
Children of Yost have gone silent, it looks like.
They don't know what's happening over there. No one expected a comeback, especially this quickly.
There's a man that looks to be about 50 or 60 years old in a Michigan State jersey in the center of the Children of Yost, which is interesting. Looks like they're not paying him any mind, although he's really loving the way this period's gone.
Yeah, rarity that an opposing team's fan gets into that Children of Yost section. That doesn't happen too often.
Even rarer, they get primo seats.
Yep. Gestapo wins the draw for Michigan Wolverines. Thrown back into our zone by a Spartan deflection. Erie tries to keep it in the zone for the Spartans, but throws it back. Holtz chases the puck down low with O'Connell. Warren throws it back up. LaPointe tried to get it out of the zone, but was stopped right at the blue line by the Spartans. Holtz throws it back out. Earnesty plays a little footsie with it, gives it to Estapa, 2-on-3 basically for the Wolverines, and just kind of tossed into the corner very weakly by Estapa to get a line change off here for the very tired Wolverines. 22 of the Spartans tried to throw something on net from afar.
Michigan State generating a whole lot of chances. Looks, here's one right here.
Wolverine turnovers in the defensive zone have been the killer. Barczewski, very good stop, sliding back over to his left. Nazar giving him a little tap on the helmet. Now, one of the things Michigan can't do here is go down after that. You got to have one back, or you got to end the next 2:58 of this second period tied, because coming out and going up 4-1, and now it's 4-4. I'm sure coach is going to have a couple of stern words for them there.
Well, and this is the fight that you expect in a rivalry game, and maybe Michigan dominating for the better part of, what was it, nearly half a game here in the past blowout, of course, 7-1 in Munn. Maybe they didn't expect all that fight to show up, but here it has, and here it is.
Yeah. Tyler Duke throws it up to T.J. Hughes. Dylan Duke, Hughes was caught up. Pass went through. Spartans retain it. Truscott gets it back in the center of ice and throws it back into the offensive zone for the Wolverines. Hughes, big hit late on the Spartans. No penalty, but definitely a power move there for him. Offsides for the Spartans, and visibly distressed is number 10, Manistow, for the Spartans, as he knew he was off and wanted the guy to go back trying to wave at him, and there was no putting the brakes on that freight train.
Lucky break for Michigan there. It looked like they were almost caught. Hasn't been a great defensive period for them, as you mentioned, with the turnovers in their own end, and while that wasn't a turnover in their own end, it surely would have led to a pretty high danger chance.
Nazar's been beating out Mueller, but loses this time at the offside faceoff. Goal by Jeremy Davison of the Spartans. Right off the faceoff, sneaks it by Nazar off of that faceoff and throws it top right shelf again on Barczewski.
Michigan's really gotten beat these past few minutes and really just needs to get its momentum back. I mean, you can't let up, what is that, 4 straight goals?
4 straight
to
goals.
Michigan State.
Barczewski giving us a little image of Augustine last night at Munn, and can't really have that if the Wolverines need to win this and try to get back into the top 10 here in the standings, even though their conference play has been less than ideal.
And Augustine, such an unflappable goalie in most situations, and if you give him a lead, even a 1-goal lead after how he's played this series, I'm sure he's thankful for that.
Barczewski hit behind the net, no whistle yet, but Spartan player definitely threw him off, and Earnesty is hurting as well as he ran into the goal. No penalties called, I don't believe yet, but the children of Yost and the entire stadium, to be given, are not happy that Barczewski could just be ran for free there. Replays on the big board now and makes a save out to his right, tries to go back, and his Tyler Duke kind of threw number 11 Davison of the Spartans into him. Barczewski was moving back to his left, I think got caught on the goal there with his back pad.
Barczewski looks to be ailing. He's back in the net taking a knee, speaking with Brian Brewster, Michigan's longtime trainer.
That would be a major loss, and before the game, John and I were talking about Noah West. Why don't you transfer somewhere else? You have your eligibility, and it's for possible scenarios like this. There is not a huge difference between the two. Noah West has more time on the team, but if Barczewski is hurt in this scenario, Michigan can still survive and move forward and try to make a comeback in this game after being down now 5-4 with 1:56 left in the second period.
Looks like Barczewski's all right. He's taking a sip of water. Dylan Duke goes up and gives him a little bit of a pat on the head, a little bit of a hug. Says, "We got you, buddy."
And I don't think that was at the fault of any Spartans. I'm honestly shocked they didn't score, and it was reviewed right now for goalie interference, but not too much of a dirty play. Good defensive play by Michigan up front to not let the puck go in, as Barczewski was 5 feet to the right of the goal laying down.
Children of Yost not happy that there wasn't a penalty on that play. Looked inadvertent. Obviously the injury of sorts, or Barczewski being ailed by that, makes it look pretty bad, but they're going to play on, and refs are going to let him play.
Hughes wins the faceoff for the Wolverines. Tries to throw it to Dylan Duke at the blue line of the offensive zone. Misses him a little. Duke regains it, gets tripped up. Moldenhauser behind the net was tripped up, actually. Duke tries to throw one on net from the left point. Not enough, and the Spartans are coming up. O'Connell throws it over. Barczewski stop off of the shot from number 18, Larson of the Michigan State Spartans.
Great pathing on that shift by Joey Larson to the Northern Michigan transfer. Leading scorer for this Michigan State team. And I love the way that he kind of snakes through the neutral zone and gets behind the defense just enough to create some space for him to take that shot. Probably why he's their leading scorer, if he can skate so well and find that open ice. Yeah. Michigan hasn't found a lot of that this end of the period.
Larson made a big name for himself up at Northern Michigan and was a big pickup from the transfer portal for the Michigan State Spartans. Wolverines retain possession, throw it through the neutral zone with a little tip from LaPointe into the offensive zone. Draper, big hit in the corner, still tangled up with him, and he's, as the puck goes back to Estapa right from him, Spartans laying on top of him and giving him a couple more punches as they bring it through the neutral ice. Russell, number 20, throws it across. No one there, and a little bit of an errant pass. Edwards tripping on his own feet behind the net for the Wolverines, trying to get it out of the zone. Russell retains it. Basil throws it back behind the net. Russell was waiting for that pass, and it just never came to him down low, trying to set something up. Basil up top, throws one on Barczewski, stops it with the neck guard, and a little bit extra there from Draper, and Dorwart still just going at it. It's stepped in the Spartan zone and kept going to the Michigan defensive zone.
Looks like the Michigan marching band, hockey band, is trying to get the crowd back in this. They went awfully silent during that possession. Easy to do when you go from being up 4-1 to down 5-4 against your biggest rival in this sport.
Yeah, very silent and sold out crowd here in Yost tonight for this rivalry weekend. And track and field had a good win this morning against Michigan State, so plenty of activities for this rivalry weekend, and Michigan seems to come out on top. See if they can do it here. Easy offsides call for the official, and a little pushing and shoving. It's 4-on-1 Spartans against Shifsky, and he's not standing down at all, so.
He's a scrapper.
He is.
Andover, Minnesota native.
Face-off will take place at the center circle. Nazar against Savage. Savage gets the win there. Shifsky chases it. Thrown into the zone by Gary. Nazar puts on the Jets to try to get it back into the Michigan zone. Warren looking for a pass. Rucker tries to tip it. Thrown at Augustine, but he elects to play it out. Basil throws it off the glass, scoots all the way. 2 seconds left in the period, but an icing. Amy possibly get a quick shot off, but what do you want to see from a coaching perspective? What do you go into the locker room after basically blowing a 3-goal lead and now being down one?
I think that's the million-dollar question, and I think it really goes back to just being calm and patient. You've played better than this Michigan State team for 4 out of the past 5 periods. All you need is one more to even it up and then one to win it. And even if you get them to overtime, generally favors Michigan with how much speed is in this roster with a guy like Frank Nazar. Look at that shot. Yeah. Seamus Casey off the face-off.
Quick win by T.J. Hughes with a second and a half left, and then Casey tried to fire one into the gut of Augustine. But, yeah, you couldn't have put it any better. It's one of those questions, how do you rally the troops again? And I have a feeling there's going to be a couple more penalties coming in this third period here. We're through 40 minutes of play, and we're sitting at 4 penalties. And given what happened yesterday, that's not the same. And it's going to be interesting. Ernesti looks a little hurt coming off the ice here going into the second intermission. So we'll see if he comes back out dressed for the rest of this. But Wolverines got some work ahead of them, and we don't really know what's to come, but the good news for them is they got 20 more minutes to figure it out in this third period coming up.
Yeah, you know what happens when you find yourself in a hole? You get a shovel, and we'll see what shovel they come out of the locker room with.
That is true. Well, coming up for this third period, I'm going to step off. John will step back in for play-by-play, and Connor will stay here for color. But we'll see you guys in another 12 minutes. Enjoy a little bit of the band in the meantime.
Welcome back to Yost Arena. My name is William Gregory, back with Connor Earegood. 5-4, Michigan with a stinker of a second period against the Michigan State Spartans. Connor, what do you think about that last sequence involving Barczewski on that fifth goal by State?
You know, sometimes Michigan State's going to score goals like that. Sometimes they're going to beat you. I really think the biggest issue isn't even the individual goals here for Michigan. I think it's that sometimes you're going to get scored on and you just got to accept that. It's like they're chasing perfection so much that when something goes wrong, when a goal gets scored against them, it's like they implode off of it. And, you know, it's really hard in college hockey. You got a 4-1 lead to now trail in the same period. They just got to, I mentioned before, they just got to get their shovels and dig out of this.
And I feel like it's something we've talked about a lot in the Brandon Naurato era. Just avalanches of goals, either Michigan scoring them or Michigan's letting them up. It's not something that can sustain you in the postseason, and that's why the Wolverines have kind of fallen short at the end of the years so often over the past few years. But anyways, we're here for the third period. Michigan has to tie it up or take the lead in this last frame after letting up 4 consecutive goals. Frank Nazar takes the opening faceoff of the third period against Dorwart, loses it. Dorwart sends it down to Tyler Duke behind the Michigan net, who's trying to fight for the puck alongside Spartan forward Isaac Howard. Puck ricochets out of play, and we'll have a faceoff 13 seconds into the third period.
You know, as much as this is a rivalry game between two storied programs, it's also a rivalry for a lot of the guys in this team. Frank Nazar and Isaac Howard were line mates in the World Juniors, close friends as well. We talked to him over the summer and throughout many times these past seasons. And you know, there's bragging rights at stake. There are going to be some group chats that start lighting up after this game with some we won or we lost.
And State had scored in the first period, but Isaac Howard in the second really opened the floodgates. Was the first of those 4 consecutive goals for the Spartans off a Jacob Truscott turnover. While I was saying that, the Spartans commit an icing. The puck will be sent back down to the Spartan end.
Looks like the TJ Hughes line that's been successful today is out there.
Hughes 2 goals today and a couple chances for a few more. Will take the face-off down at the Michigan State end. Once again, it's Dorwart for the Spartans on the other side.
TJ Hughes one day with his 2 goals and just the way he plays is going to make an NHL team very, very happy. But sometimes you can prove a lot to scouts with the way you can respond to adversity. And while Michigan certainly doesn't wish it had adversity right now, it's going to prove something about itself this period.
Well, and Hughes, even with all the superstar power last year, was such an underrated part, I think, of the Wolverines' success. Off the face-off, it's passed to the right side of the blue line to Ethan Edwards, who shoots one in, gloved by Trey Augustine. 19:29 to go in the third period, and it seems like we've already been here for 5 minutes. Only 30 seconds of game time have passed.
You know, I love the way Dylan Duke plays. I'm noticing on this face-off, 2 strides, he's at the front of the net, and he's already raising havoc immediately.
Another face-off won by Michigan, set back to Edwards. Another shot off the leg protector of Augustine, off the rebound. Another shot by Michigan, deflects wide. Dylan Duke gets it batted away by O'Connell. Ends up finally in possession in the corner to TJ Hughes, who loses it off a check. Red Savage for the Spartans up the near side boards. Checked by Edwards, loses it to Truscott, now behind the Michigan net. Truscott pass to Dylan Duke. Lifts a pass up to TJ Hughes, tries to put a glove on it, but it ends up with Gucciardi. Pass up to Red Savage, wide open up the left side. Savage just loses the puck. What a break for Michigan.
Very, very fortunate bounce for Michigan there. Red Savage almost had him dead to rights.
Dig for the puck between Savage and Edwards on the left side of the Michigan net is recovered by the Wolverines. Hughes tries to get it up. Gucciardi there once again. Shot from the left blue line, gloved by Barczewski.
Michigan's playing awfully timid to start this period. Never something you want to see in a rivalry game, especially one where you're trying to reassert yourself after having such a dominant lead. Mark Ostapa looks like he's going out for the face-off, saying something to Stephen Holtz behind him. Big physical unit out here. Marshall Warren as well, tough customer. Keenan Draper, Phil LaPointe. Michigan going to really have to bear down defensively after the way that it lost its lead. It's a good line to start that.
And that's a face-off won by the Wolverines, dumped into the Michigan State defensive zone. If you're just tuning in, that was Will Gregory on the call. We thank him for supporting me, John Tondora, your new play-by-play, but also somewhat old play-by-play commentator, for some support through some technical difficulties. Again, that's your third period here. Michigan losing 4-5 to Michigan State right now. This is John Tondora and Connor Earegood on color. I'll be taking over play-by-play from Will Gregory, who was, as Eddie pointed out, an excellent emergency goaltender for me as we sorted through some long lines, some hardship, some trouble, some difficulties re-entering the press box for a variety of reasons.
It's always good to have an e-bug, right?
Oh, yeah. You always need someone who can step up. Of course, Will Gregory, the best of the best at that. But as we now know, there's still a game going on. So with 17 minutes and 33 seconds left, again, that's the Michigan State Spartans leading 5-4 over your Michigan Wolverines. Connor, I'm sure you touched on it already, but a torrent of goals for the Spartans has turned this game on its head. As the Wolverines' Seamus Casey looks to retrieve from his own defensive end, that'll be an icing. Connor, what were you guys talking about, and maybe what can we look forward to for Michigan to perhaps reclaim this lead?
Well, I was saying this as you hopped in the headset. They're really going to have to bear down defensively after letting up those goals. But more importantly, it's just a mentality thing in my mind. And Will had a good point that in the Brandon Naurato era, it always seems like goals are scored in a torrent, goals are scored against, goals for. It always comes in waves. And right now, Michigan just really needs to ride a new wave. Some teams are really built off consistency, off doing the same thing. Michigan is very much a momentum team. And when you lose the momentum so bad like they did in the second period, they really need to recapture it quick, because Michigan State is not the type of team that you want to let kind of run all over you.
Certainly, as Michigan will win the offensive faceoff draw here, and a quick shot saved by Trey Augustine. We'll have another extracurricular after the icing of the puck. TJ Hughes has a little bit of an earful for the referees. Yeah, Connor, I think you touched on it perfectly. You know, with this Brandon Naurato-led Michigan team, it can kind of feel like a basketball competition at times, a game of runs. We see Michigan jump out to a 4-1 lead, only to find themselves down 5-4 to start this third period. They're not only going to need to score a goal to even it, they need two to take the lead after a lead that seemed so in hand earlier.
Absolutely, and some big contributions from guys like Rutger McGroarty and TJ Hughes really put them at the top, and they were out shooting Michigan State. They had 30 shots to, I believe, 9 at one point. And Michigan State has really, really battled back. It's 36 or 24 in shots, and Michigan State has had the lion's share of theirs in the past, 10 minutes of play?
Certainly, as the Spartans win their own defensive zone draw and bring it into the offensive zone. The Wolverines cleared it back out now for the Spartans to retrieve as they'll attempt a new offensive breakout. But as has been the case all day, a little bit of hot potato in the neutral zone for Michigan State and the Wolverines. Michigan State unable to break out. The puck now sent back down low for the Michigan Wolverines into their offensive zone. Stephen Holtz attempts to corral it at the blue line. Can't. Now it's over to Russell, number 20 in green. Russell will send a shot forward. It'll ricochet off a Wolverine. Phil Lapointe will send it over to Marcus Stappa, and the puck will be retrieved at center ice.
I believe Michigan's dealing with a bit of a shortened bench right now. Josh Ernessy, the transfer from St. Thomas, got hit a little awkwardly at the end of a play. The same play Jake Barchevsky was hurt on, and I don't think he's on the bench right now.
Certainly here, puck still in play. As a mistimed pass will go to Rutger McGroarty at center ice. He'll send it up to Frank Nazar, who will attempt to dump it in down low, but not before a recovery by Maxime Sturbach. Now puck sent over to Tyler Duke, brother of Dylan Duke. He'll pass it over to Nazar, who dumps it in once more. This one finds a little bit more success as Rutger McGroarty into chase with Garrett Shifsky. Shifsky, as you know, settling in onto a new line after the escape of Gavin Brindley after some awkward falls and hits last night, Connor.
Yeah, and Gavin Brindley is the type of player that's really hard to replace. Such a good two-way player, good penalty killer, and I think Michigan's really seen themselves struggle with that. Michigan State's first goal in the first period, granted it was before their big deluge of goals for themselves, but it's a goal with a different penalty kill unit that maybe you'd get back. Keaton Draper was a little bit out of position. I believe he had Garrett Shifsky with him. Some younger folks on that draw, and obviously Brindley being a sophomore is young himself, but he certainly doesn't play like it, and he plays so professionally, so two-way, very well in his defensive capabilities, and he's the kind of guy that you're really going to want to be out there in a game like this, and they're certainly missing him.
Offensive draw won by the Wolverines. Now sent up to the point to number 15, the captain, Jacob Truscott. A shot, one-timer by Ethan Edwards. That looked like it ringed off the bar. It's a save nonetheless. Now an attempted pass by TJ Hughes will fall onto the stick of O'Connell.
Great strides by Gavin O'Connell there to get that puck out. A lot of teams would just dump it. Michigan State carries it out, is responsible for the puck. Really gets Michigan to reset and get out of the zone and kind of retool.
Certainly Ethan Edwards here working at center ice. He'll dump it over, kicked away by Trey Augustine as Ethan Edwards attempts to finish a check as Keenan Draper goes in for the forecheck. Now the puck will roll onto the stick of Stephen Holtz at center ice and dumped in by Phil LaPointe.
Michigan playing awfully physical for this period. Marcus Stoppa, Keenan Draper playing a lot of minutes and certainly using them to their advantage to throw some hits around there, maybe make Michigan State uncomfortable.
That's an offside on the Wolverines as they attempt to enter the offensive zone. Connor, what I talked about with Eddie a lot in this first period, now some 40-odd minutes ago, was that the Wolverines struggle in these back-to-backs. They seem low energy in these second games, second half of the weekend series. How do you think Michigan needs to respond with energy in this third period?
I think it goes back to the confidence I mentioned earlier, that they just have to believe in themselves, and certainly it's easy to be gassed when you've played so dominantly during the week and it's your second game and then all of a sudden you lose the lead. It's easy to be down on yourself, but I don't necessarily see an energy issue with them right now so much as kind of what's between the ears and their self-belief. Sometimes that speaks louder than anything you can do physically, as there's a big hit by Frank Nazar.
That offside draw, was won by the Wolverines before a little bit of a scramble as they look to collect in their own defensive end now after a dump and chase. Casey sends it up to Garrett Shifsky. Garrett Shifsky looks to rip a shot. It'll land squarely in the chest of Trey Augustine, though. Augustine giving up 4 goals tonight and 7 last night. Perhaps a little more goal action than he's seen earlier in this year, but coming into form right when this team needs him to down the stretch of this game.
Yeah, and Trey Augustine is often unflappable, his demeanor. I remember speaking to him before Team USA had departed for Sweden when they had the selection camp in Plymouth, and you ask him a question and he gives you a direct answer and just looks at you like, what else you got? Whether he's on the ice, whether he's in an interview, whatever, he's going to take whatever you give him and really stand his own ground. And obviously last night wasn't what he wanted to see, but he's really responded well after even giving up a lead in this game.
Offensive zone draw won by Marcus Stoppa and the Wolverines. Now the puck will bounce onto the stick of Stephen Holtz. He'll bring it in from the top right point. Now attempted a shovel backhanded shot by Marcus Stoppa. It won't go. Recovered by the Spartans as Marcus Stoppa keeps his pesky hand in there, and an attempted little hickory-dickory behind the legs shot by Keenan Draper. That won't fall either, though, and the Wolverines are content to take it back into their own defensive end. A mistimed pass by Phil LaPointe will put them in some sticky situations, but not before TJ Hughes can recover the puck and send it the length of the ice.
Very loose passing by Michigan this period.
Attempted dump by the Spartans, recovered by Stephen Holtz. He's content to hold. He looks, sends it over to TJ Hughes. Now Ethan Edwards. Nick Moldenauer will collect the puck in the offensive zone, the far left corner. Sends over a shot for Jacob Truscott, recovered by Ethan Edwards. He can't get the puck on his stick, but he had a wide open net and an opportunity missed by the Wolverines. Now Ethan Edwards will collect. He'll send it over to TJ Hughes in the neutral zone. Hughes cross-ice pass to Nick Moldenauer. He'll be at the top of your screen if you're on film in any sort of way, or if you're on radio, we'll keep telling it to you right here as the Spartans look to break out. That's Larson, number 18 in green. He attempts to bring it down low, but he'll get manhandled by Ethan Edwards, and he won't be able to retain possession. Picked up now and sent over for a shot.
Great block by Dylan Duke.
Blocked by Dylan Duke. Held. Shot saved. Patted away by Jacob Barchewski, but the Spartans keep it in their own zone. That shot from Patrick Geary. He's been over the ice all tonight. And then another shot by Gavin O'Connell. That'll be saved by Jake Barchewski.
John, I know we've talked about this away from the microphones, that Michigan's goaltenders love to give up rebounds these past few seasons. Eric Portillo last year had a rebound problem, and Jake Barchewski as well has had one in this game and throughout the season. And I really think that's something that Michigan needs to control, whether they're controlling possession of the rebounds or rebounds in general. You can't give Michigan State extra second chances like they've been giving.
Certainly. Face-off won by the Spartans, but intercepted by Seamus Casey. He'll dump it down low as Michigan looks to set up on offense. That's the far side corner. Puck retrieved by Keenan Draper. Keenan Draper will send the puck over to Duke. Duke now a tipped shot. Keenan Draper on front of the net trying to impact it. It'll slam over into the close boards. Down low, Keenan Draper, he's been on the ice for a while at this point. They're still fighting for it. Recovered by Draper. Draper with Nazar in front of him. Nothing comes of it. Puck stripped away by Reed Lebster.
Draper really should have let Frank Nazar take that puck. Very potent scorer, and Draper's at the end of his shift there, but alas, he tried to score something.
As Tyler Duke will blow a tire, and a turnover will turn into a goal for the Spartans. Now the Wolverines are looking at a much larger deficit. That was Tyler Duke blowing a tire. He sends it over to Jeremy Davidson inadvertently before Nicholas Mueller recovers the puck, and a backhand shot ends up in the back of the net. It's 6-4 Michigan State.
Earlier in the week, Michigan coach Brandon Arado mentioned that Michigan State is a very dominant rush team, and that's how they want to get their chances. And certainly we've seen that in this game. It doesn't take but a few seconds for Michigan State to set up and try to get a goal, as they got one there.
Faceoff will end up in the Wolverines' defensive zone. Josh Ernestine back out on the ice. He'll work with Tanner Rowe. Tanner Rowe sends it up into the boards in the Michigan's offensive zone. Michigan looking for something, anything on offense as Ernestine sends it to Tanner Rowe. He'll bring it around the net, but not before it's poked away by two Spartans.
Good to see Ernestine out there after his injury issue during the intermission.
Stephen Holtz will collect the puck at the point. He'll send it down low where Ernestine's content to work on the boards in the corner. Now back up to Holtz. He'll send it down once more. It'll bounce off the side where Ernestine's standing ready at the cage. Now back to Holtz again at the point. The puck just seems to keep finding him as the Wolverines are unable to fully collect on offense, yet nevertheless a bouncing puck worked the way of the Wolverines this time. Puck attempted to be sent from Dylan Duke to Nick Moldenauer. Now the puck falls on the stick of Russell for the Spartans.
Looks a little like pinball out there, the way some of these passes are going between guys.
Certainly. Michigan State both unable to have the crisp passes that maybe they're necessarily known for, but in rivalry matchups like this, it means all the same. Guys are straining, they're trying harder, they're disrupting, but right now Michigan State's on top.
Absolutely, and that second goal for the lead for Michigan State to take the 6-4 lead obviously isn't one that Michigan wants to see go in, but that might prove crucial because Michigan has really struggled to get anything going offensively this whole third period.
Certainly, offensive zone draw here. It'll be Marcus Stappa matched up with Carson Dorwart of the Spartans. A win by Estapa, a shot by Phil Lapointe won't go anywhere. And now it'll be recovered by the Spartans as they attempt to break out. Once again, a mistimed pass will fall on the stick of Seamus Casey. He'll dump it in down low.
Good forechecking by Michigan to keep this chance going. They haven't had a whole lot of possession time this third, but looks like they're starting to figure it out.
And that's a shot by Seamus Casey. A rebound attempted to be chipped in by Keenan Draper there, but it's another save by Trey Augustine. Boy, he's come up big when the Spartans have needed it.
Media timeout.
We'll have a brief timeout here as the skaters will take the ice to clean it. Connor, we've got 9 minutes and 38 seconds here to go. The Wolverines, not only down by one goal, down by two, 6-4, have looked out of sorts all throughout these last two periods. What are you saying in the huddle if you're Brandon Narada right now? He's shaking his fist as we look at him.
I think what you say is, boys, we got 9:38 to get this game back in our favor, and we got to go be us. We got to go play to our identity. The Michigan that started this game and had a 4-1 lead and dominated Michigan State at Michigan State's own arena last night, 7-1. It hasn't shown up this whole third period, and this is when the kind of money needs to be put on the table, and you need to say, all right, this is where we're going to win this thing. And Michigan just has not come out with the energy that you would hope. They've come out, I don't want to say flat, but they certainly haven't come out as the poised and collected and accurate kind of team that it's going to take to beat one of the best teams in the country in Michigan State, and certainly the crown jewel of the Big Ten right now.
Certainly, and it feels like an eternity ago that Rucker McGroarty netted the fourth goal of the game to go up 4-1. And boy, was he celebrating. These Wolverines were celebrating all over the ice. They were going around and around and around again, it seemed, with smiles on their faces. Now they can only hope for so much. The Wolverines coming out with an interesting setup here for this face-off, offensive zone face-off. Won by Frank Nazar, but with no one to collect it because of the interesting setup. There was no one on the left hash of the left circle, and now the puck trickles out of play, and the Spartans recover into the neutral zone.
Michigan reached deep in its bag there, and it didn't look like it worked out.
Dumped in by Red Savage. That'll be Nick Moldenauer, who recovers it in Michigan's defensive end. Sends it up cross ice pass to Garrett Shifsky. Shifsky, a shot just left wide. Rucker McGroarty sends it back down low for Shifsky, who can't recover. Stephen Holtz looking to pinch on the right side. Frank Nazar sends it to Rucker McGroarty. He'll dump it down low. And the puck will be cleared by the Spartans and sent over to Marshall Warren. A little too hot to handle for Warren and company, and now the Spartans will start in on offense, but not before a tipped pass sends it back out to neutral ice.
Both teams going to need a line change in here, fresh legs. Michigan going back to the TJ Hughes line that's been so successful in this game offensively as they try to get a goal.
And an attempted pass from the defensive end of the Wolverines will go for an icing. That was Marshall Warren, who sent it off the skates of a Spartan incidentally, but all the same, it'll be an icing, and now Michigan will have to set up and get itself out of the defensive zone once more.
Michigan State looks like it's putting a more defensive unit out there with Nicholas Mueller, Reed Lebster.
A little early to park the bus maybe, but Michigan State wins the offensive draw. A shot goes wide. That's Gucciardi, David Gucciardi, number 7 for the Spartans. A puck cleared high for the Wolverines will get recovered by the Spartans, but they're content to dump it down low again, and it's Stephen Holtz. Boy, if we called his name a lot today. The Wolverines have relied on the veteran defenseman for the Wolverines increasingly throughout his years. Of course, Stephen Holtz missed much of last season with a scary health issue. However, we're happy to see him back and recovered as the puck gets cleared at center ice by Nick Moldenauer for a line change by the Wolverines.
Great fight by Moldenauer. It just wasn't well timed with the line change, but those are the kind of battles that Michigan's going to have to win if they want to get even in this. They're going to have to win those kind of small area games that, as they would do in their practice drills. They need to make those show up in the game.
A mistimed pass by Stroudy leads to a dumped puck by Phil Lapointe, but an excellent clearance by the Spartans now has Manifesto charging in deep behind Michigan's net as the Spartans look to tack on another. That's Tiernan and Stroudy. Now over to Ninehouse. Ninehouse sends it over to Urecki.
Good shot block by Phil Lapointe there. Very, very fortunate.
Yes, indeed. Phil Lapointe earning his minutes for this Michigan Wolverine team. Saw more action 2 years ago than he did last year, but has earned his favor with Brandon Arado, and now, despite perhaps lining up on the bottom 6, he gets top 6 minutes in some of these games, especially in a rivalry matchup like this. Doesn't hurt to have a little bit of excitement as Seamus Casey will take the puck in. He'll attempt to tip a puck off the back of Trey Augustine, recovered by Rucker McGroarty. McGroarty will keep it now.
This is what I want to see from Michigan here, to put all the stars out at one time and try to get this proximity goal.
Puck in front of the net for Rucker McGroarty. He attempts to make a move, but it won't go. And now it'll be iced by Trey Augustine.
Looks like McGroarty's having some words with Patrick Geary. Geary tried out for Team USA just a few short weeks ago, didn't end up making the squad. More of a physical bruiser, penalty kill type of guy. Certainly making his living today, trying to keep that net front clear for Trey Augustine.
McGroarty attempted a fake between the legs on Augustine, as you just mentioned, Connor. It wouldn't go as the Wolverines win the faceoff, but again, for the umpteenth time all night, unable to corral it off the faceoff win, and now they'll have to recollect it, dump, and chase into the offensive end. That's Dylan Duke, behind the net front of the Spartans attempting to collect.
You know, Shaquille O'Neal, my bad, I wasn't familiar with your game. Well, you're never going to hear Trey Augustine say that to Rucker McGroarty. They've known each other for so long.
Never, not once. A shot misses wide by TJ Hughes, collected in the far right corner. Now sent over to a shot for Keenan Draper. It won't go. TJ Hughes attempts to lay the body, but passed up on by Joey Larson of the Spartans. Red Savage will collect the puck. He'll attempt to make a move, but it'll get turned over in the offensive zone. Now it's Dylan Duke attempting to bring the puck up. He'll dump it in down low. And the Spartans will get their shot on offense. Now a little bit of a commotion at center ice as Dylan Duke receives a shot attempting to change. He can't stand. He's hobbled. The Wolverines are attempting to play some 5-on-5 hockey still, even as 2 Wolverines are on the ice. Dylan Duke is limping to the sidelines, or, well, I should say to the bench. Now a chipped puck as Lebster attempts to keep it for the Spartans. He can't corral it. Nevertheless, it'll fall onto the stick of Jeremy Davidson for Green. Lebster working his way in front of the net front. He'll bring the puck around. Still trying to figure out what happened with Dylan Duke as Nienhuis collects it at the point, sends it over to a shot, saved. Now onto the stick of Lebster. Lebster will hold it, send it over to number 5 in Green. That's Artem Levshinov, of course. Sends a puck wide on an attempted shot. Now Mueller sends one over to a shot. That's Jeremy Davidson again. Saved by Barchevsky. Dylan Duke currently being looked at by the medical staff on the bench for the Wolverines. Unclear what happened to him as the Wolverines iced the puck, but it seemed that there was a collision as he attempted to change. What'd you see there, Connor?
Yeah, it looked like just an awkward hit, and obviously not the greatest spot to get hit with that little bit of a stanchion and the door being open. I didn't get a great beat on it, but he went back, took a moment, and he's back toward the bench, and it looks like he's good to go. Dylan Duke, obviously one of the tougher customers in this team. Strongsville, Ohio native. Very, very gritty. Loves to be in front of the net. Loves to get hacked at. If you could enjoy that. But if there's anyone on this team, it's him.
Griffin Urecki, as well as Tiernan Shouty, conversing with the linesman right now about something that's happening on the bench. Brennan Arado seems incensed with the linesman. He's shouting. Now the linesman will go from Michigan's bench over to Michigan State. There's a conversation with Adam Nightingale happening. Looks like a little bit of my old high school speech and debate, Connor. Everyone's trying to talk, no one's listening.
And it looked like it was about an icing call. Something's being reviewed here.
We'll see if Yost Arena will show it. Yost, sometimes a little classic for not showing reviews, perhaps not wanting to sway the opinion of referees, linesmen, or anyone in the stands. It'll be a timeout for both teams nonetheless. As we look to see what they're reviewing here, Connor, what do you think? You know, we talked about this. We'll flip the script. If you're Michigan State, what are you telling your guys? 4:51, a lot of time left to be played, especially with two dynamic offenses. With a 2-goal lead, the opportunity to shut it down is there.
Yeah, and I think the tendency with teams like this when you're up late in a game is to park the bus, but you know, a lot of the time you just got to play to your identity and you can't punt. Michigan obviously has had fits with what Michigan State's been doing this third period and the end of the second. Just keep doing what you're doing if it's working. And I think a lot of the times hockey teams maybe overthink things and try to deviate from the script and, you know, try to be cute with it, so to speak. And I think if you're Michigan State, just keep putting bodies toward the puck, playing aggressive, and really causing some havoc in the neutral zone. Certainly that's given Michigan some trouble so far, and I'm sure it'll give them continuous troubles unless they figure it out so far.
Certainly rivalry games like these live on havoc, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this too, Connor. I knew I would mention it at some point. As Trey Augustine takes his helmet off, the children of Yost are excited to chant "ugly goalie." However, if any of them were somehow listening to this radio show, I beg them to remind them it's likely there's a number of Red Wings fans in a University of Michigan Ann Arbor crowd, and as much as they may not like him now, if things go the way they're pointing to, they will like him soon enough when he's in red and not in green.
I remember at the NHL draft, watching Michigan guys like Gavin Brindley and Adam Fantilli getting picked at that draft. I remember thinking to myself, what a steal with Trey Augustine in the second round of the Red Wings. Obviously growing up in Michigan, big Red Wings fan, and you know, maybe not the future of the franchise in that with a guy like Sebastian Cossa in the pipeline, but Trey Augustine's going to get his number called at some point whenever he leaves Michigan State. Very, very easy to see that he's such a talented prospect, and maybe he hasn't been the sharpest this series, letting up 11 goals so far, but with a big rivalry game and the way his team has responded for him, they're right back in this, and it looks like he's going to get his win should his team really perform well for the next 4:51 in this game.
Certainly, and it does seem that it's the offsides, that's being reviewed. Trey Augustine will certainly get his number called. You know, to your point, Connor, about Adam Fantilli and Gavin Brindley being drafted, you only have to look down the road. They go to Columbus. So yet another instance of they might not be the biggest fans of them at the college level. Columbus students didn't love to hear those names, but they'll love it soon. As the call comes through, I believe the call is confirmed on the ice. And Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, but that means the Wolverines are going to trot out here in a critical moment with 4 men instead of 5.
That's what it looks like. They no, they're sending out 5. must have been an official review. Either way, they said that there was no video evidence to review, which is interesting in our day and age where everything goes to VAR and review. Just to not have the footage is awfully interesting.
Definitely a difficult break for the Wolverines. They'll, of course, escape still being able to play 5-on-5. The children of Yost voiced their displeasure as Garrett Shifsky will collect the puck off of what may technically be logged as a Michigan State face-off win, but nevertheless won't affect the game all the same. Frank Nazar snags a mistimed pass by the Spartans, collected at the top left blue line by Jacob Truscott. Truscott attempts a shot, sends it down low. Pass over to Ethan Edwards. He'll fire a shot just wide, and Rucker McGroarty will attempt to collect, but not before yet another errant pass by the Spartans will be collected in the defensive zone of the Wolverines by Ethan Edwards.
Michigan State doing a great job of protecting middle ice, keeping bodies toward the inside.
As Frank Nazar will step up now, take a shot, fires it, saved by Trey Augustine. There's a scramble in front of the net, but it won't make a difference. The Spartans staying calm and cool under pressure, not the least of which Trey Augustine, as a mistimed play by Marshall Warren at the blue line means the Wolverines will have to set up again. Nifty pass by Tyler Duke will send it to the stick of Nick Moldenauer, who loses it on an attempted deke, and now it's recovered by Maxim Strawberg. Now a helmet will come off for Strawberg, and we'll have a stoppage in play.
Children of Yost chanting ugly player at Strawberg. Right now, I think he's thinking, we've got the lead. You can call me anything you want.
I tend to agree, Connor. The scoreboard doesn't lie, and the Wolverines aren't liking what they're seeing right now. TJ Hughes will go up against, that's...
Looks like Red Savage.
Red Savage.
Red Wings draft pick.
Thank you. It'll be a conflict of interests here as they look to face off one by TJ Hughes over to Seamus Casey. Garrett Shifsky will dump it down, but a tipped pass will send the puck up and out of play into a non-netted area where there was a little bit of a commotion in the puck's recovery. Nevertheless, it'll be yet another offensive zone face-off.
Souvenir,
a particularly fast-flying one. TJ Hughes can't win this draw as Geary will collect the puck for the Spartans. Now it'll go up to Larson. Larson to Red Savage, who will attempt to forecheck off of Seamus Casey. Casey sends it up to Dylan Duke, who came back from what looked to be a momentarily scary injury. A mistimed pass by the Wolverines will now land the puck onto the stick of the Spartans. That's O'Connell. O'Connell over that's Joey Larson for an empty net goal. The Wolverines attempting to niftily pull Jacob Barczewski, still with 3 minutes left to go. Maybe a bit of a quizzical decision, especially when the Wolverines did not have full offensive zone control. It'll be 4-7, and now with 3 minutes to go, that climb looks all the more higher.
Yeah, I think the race against the clock is Michigan's biggest problem here, and analytics will tell you that the best time to pull the goalie is around that 3-minute mark. You can set up, you get your extra attacker, you get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, but you have to defend. You can't get that empty net goal against, and Michigan unfortunately surrenders that, and that might be all she wrote.
Certainly. If it were to be a split here, the Wolverines certainly couldn't be entirely unimpressed. Fighting right now on the bubble for an NCAA college hockey playoff berth. The Spartans not as much in need. It'll be a quality win for them nonetheless. Michigan came in at 12 tonight, and the Spartans at 8. Although earlier in the week, those were vastly different numbers. A win for Michigan definitely means more, but at the same time, it's not the worst opponent to take a loss to. But as we tick down in this spring semester here for some of these northern schools, these wins become more and more important as the Wolverines have pulled the goalie again. An attempted clearance turned goal by the Spartans won't matter. They'll ice the puck.
Yeah, and right now it seems like Brandon Norado's just instilling principles here. You're never going to win the game when you're down 3. If you just keep trotting out 5, you're going to need to get an extra attacker. You're going to need to keep trying to get that goal, and he's not giving up yet. And credit to him to coach that into his players.
The Wolverines lead 42-30 on shots right now. Remember, they were up 4-1 at one point, completely silenced since midway through this second period. The goalie still pulled for Michigan as they attempt to maybe claw something back. 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go here. At one point, it looked like Michigan would run away with this game as the Spartans ice it once again. Now, if you're Michigan, you have to be scratching your head at what went wrong. Just a total defensive collapse in the second period, followed up by a lackluster response in the third. The Wolverines will have 6 men, all of them crowded around the right zone faceoff. And somehow still the puck won by the Spartans. Garrett Shifsky niftily swats the puck down. He'll fake a shot, send a pass over to Rucker McGroarty. McGroarty can attempt to hold. He'll send a shot. It'll bounce right in front of Nazar's net. Augustine's net, excuse me. Tipped in by Nazar. That's a goal. But the referee's already having a bit of a conversation. We'll have to see if it stands.
Yeah, Michigan State's going to want to call some interference on this play, but it looked clean to me. It looked like they shot the puck before any contact was on Augustine, and Michigan will be within 2 goals. Gets a little closer.
5-7. You have to wonder here, you know, all's fair in love and war, but if the Wolverines had not kind of more errantly pulled their goaltender when they perhaps did not have the full offensive possession, could it have been a 5-6 game? Upon further review, that puck actually was kicked in by a Michigan State Spartan. It may have looked like a little bit of a scrum after Dylan Duke dove into the net afterwards, but it won't matter all the same. Now down 2 goals. Michigan will look to break in. That's Dylan Duke. He'll send one over to McGroarty. McGroarty over to Nazar to Hughes. A shot recovered by Hughes after a rebound. Now up to Casey. Casey will attempt to take a shot. He'll completely whiff on it. It'll bounce off Shroudy and roll for an icing. The Wolverines have once again pulled the goaltender from their net. 1:33 to go here. Anything can happen, but it may be too little too late. It could be all she wrote, as you said, Connor. Michigan will take a right side, right circle, offensive zone faceoff. Gets a fresh change of legs here.
Interesting unit. Phil Lapointe with Josh Ernessy, Nick Moldenauer, and Mark Estapa as the forwards. Jacob Truscott, Ethan Edwards at defense. Not exactly the most high-scoring unit, but at this point, the scorers are so gassed from being out there so long, they're going to need their beauty rest, so to speak.
Certainly, maybe an attempted big body scrum, as that's what we'll see here, as Estapa sends a puck to the front of the net, and then a huge battle will ensue.
Oh, look out here.
That's Ernessy falling to the ice as 2 Spartans fall on top of him. We'll have a stoppage of play with 1 minute and 21 seconds to go.
Trey Augustine got in the mix there, took his stick and just started whacking, poking it into the scrum, and I don't even know if he knew who he was poking at, but he just wanted to be involved.
The puck was inadvertently iced. However, it was never fully under the control, it seems. Mark Estapa fell under Ernessy, who then fell over him. As the Wolverines will trot out a more potent offensive unit, TJ Hughes in the faceoff dot with Shifsky, Duke, and Nazar. Nazar will collect the win over to Casey. Casey will attempt a shot. That'll be tipped away by Garrett Shifsky, but not onto the net. Now over to Casey. Casey to Hughes. Hughes at the top of the circle, down low to Nazar. Nazar will get pressured by a Michigan State defender, and Michigan State will clear it out for what will be another icing with exactly 1 minute to go. Michigan needs to keep winning faceoffs, but also needs to keep getting the puck on net, Connor. Only 1 shot on that kind of extended 15-second offensive zone attack. They need to be able to bury one if they want to find any success here. Yeah,
and you mentioned that empty net goal earlier. I'm sure Michigan's going to want that one back, but right now they just got to get that proximity goal and the equalizer. That's got to be their only focus, and with 45 shots to 30, they've had many cracks at it, but foiling Trey Augustine is an awfully hard thing to do.
Win by Hughes to Casey. Now up to Hughes. He'll dump it down low, sends it over to Shifsky. Shifsky attempts a shot. That'll go wide. Shifsky dives at the puck now. And another clearance as Casey will skate back, and another icing. 19 seconds elapsed there, though. A nifty shot on net by Garrett Shifsky. Trickles just wide, and we'll do it all over again.
What they say for Iowa football, punting is winning. Right now, that's how Michigan State's trying to play. Just kill off that clock and maintain that 2-goal lead. As Michigan calls a timeout, they're going to regroup and draw up a play to get this thing closer.
Connor, you're maybe more familiar with this than anyone else, having been on this beat back-to-back years. Michigan Daily Hockey beat. Connor Earegood now writing for the Hockey News, as we'll have a minute timeout here. Who in that huddle right now is drawing up this play? We see Brandon Naurato talking. Who's this play going to? Who's making the decisions? What's happening, do you think?
I think you got to put your stars out there. We're talking Seamus Casey, Frank Nazar, Dylan Duke at the net front, Rutger McGroarty, TJ Hughes, some assortment of those folks. And I think you just got to get the puck to the open man. Michigan doesn't have sort of the go-to shooter that they used to have with a guy like Mackie Samoskevich or a playmaker like Adam Fantilli. They got a lot of star power, but it's a lot of guys who contribute together and play as a team. And right now that's what they're going to have to lean into. They're going to have to find the open man and just capitalize on it. You've got the man advantage. The net is still empty. They're going to try to get this goal, and we'll see if they can. Looks like Garrett Shifsky's out there too, which is a feather in his cap to be out in such a crucial moment.
Shifsky knows his role, a testament to what the Wolverines have established here, or perhaps whether it's foolhardiness or a sign of success. All six walked away with about 20 seconds left in the timeout, clearly knowing their job. Hughes wins the faceoff, an attempted corral by Nazar. He can't get it. As a shot will tip wide, now the Wolverines unable to corral the puck. Now with the puck's on the stick of Shifsky, though, he escapes from a larger deficit. A shot ripped by Rutger McGroarty. He knew that was his opportunity.
Oh, you see the hands in the face by McGroarty. He wants that one back.
Wolverines not able to execute maybe how they wanted. A face-off win by TJ Hughes on the left circle there. Goes right onto the stick of Nazar, who kind of sees a little bit more green grass than he can handle, I guess. You know, we think back to maybe a moment like Samaj Morgan attempting to field a punt. Looks before he actually has the puck or ball in that instance and misses the shot. Win by Nick Moldenauer. Shot then goes far wide.
What a quick play by the freshman.
Certainly. Ethan Edwards, with 15 seconds to go here, will attempt to start one final rush perhaps. It won't mean much as there's 9 seconds to go. Ethan Edwards will hold the puck just to keep from another empty net goal scored. He'll send one on net. Trey Augustine will save it. 1 second to go here, and that'll be all she wrote. 7-5 the way of Michigan State. The referees and linesmen getting in the middle of what could have been a scrum, but the Wolverines don't seem to have the heart left to instigate anything as they slowly skate to center ice. What once was a 4-1 lead for the Michigan Wolverines turns into a dismal blown loss, a la the nightmares of the start of earlier this season, the first half of the year. A 7-5 loss for Michigan. Connor, what did you see out there today?
Michigan just lost it in that second period. I think we talked about it earlier. You just got to kind of resettle and get things right in that second period. You can't let up 6 unanswered goals as they did and expect to win against a team as talented as Michigan State. Obviously, these teams will face off in early February and at the Duel in the D, but this is a game that the Wolverines should have had. You're up 4-1 against a rival and a really good opponent. You can't just give that up. And a lot of defensive zone turnovers, maybe some saves that Jacob Barchevsky wishes he had, but at the end of the day, Michigan State executed better and they ended up winning this game as there's some handshakes and love given from Rutger McGroarty and Trey Augustine.
Certainly, Connor, you can only imagine how head coach Brandon Naurato is feeling right now. Certainly probably a little disappointed, or at least expecting more of his group. But, you know, we'll say this. Let's turn it ahead. Let's look till next weekend. Wolverines at home again. What needs to change for them to string together some wins and kind of cut these losses away?
They got to be confident in their abilities, and I think the position they're in where they keep splitting series and they maybe don't get the sweeps against some of these marquee opponents, it's easy to second-guess yourself, and it's easy to think, man, what if we don't have it? What if we're just racing against the clock here? You know, it's easy to doubt yourself, and I think for the Wolverines, they just got to believe that they can do it. They have the talent. They have the sort of roster that can win in this Big Ten, and it's such a very stacked and it's a conference with a lot of parity. But I think they just got to believe in themselves, and when a goal gets scored against them, they can't just let them keep pouring in. And a lot of that happens from mentality, right? It's not just the way they play on the ice, but it's the way they believe in themselves. Sometimes confidence is key, and right now the Wolverines are going to be searching for a lot more.
Certainly, the buy-in always has to be there, whether you've just given up 5-6 goals in a row or whether you've scored 5-6 in a row. This game, maybe for those who paid closer attention, a little hauntingly similar to the Ohio State series earlier this year, in which the Wolverines came in Friday night, won 7-1, and then dropped a closer contest the next night. All the same, it'll be a split series. The Wolverines could have done worse, but most certainly could have done better. As we look ahead, the Wolverines have much to improve on. Michigan, still much hockey to be played ahead of them, always, at least historically, playing better hockey in the second half of the season. but it'll have to wait until next weekend. For Eddie Olejniczak, Connor Earegood, this is John Tondora, and for WCBN Sports, we say thank you for listening, and despite a loss, we say good luck, good night, and go blue.